Hello and welcome to the 5th round of the FAB-Racing British Minibike Championship here at Whilton Mill. The lunch break is just over on the Sunday, and now coming up we have the senior mini motor race, and we have two race twos still to go before we can get into the race threes, the final races of the weekend. My name is Lewis Ray, and alongside me for this weekend is Ross McIntyre.
Hiya Lewis, pleasure to be here, and well, as you can see, getting ready for the formation lap of the senior mini motos, just heading out after their lunch break. And well, we had a fantastic race one yesterday. Looks like the weather has held off over the lunch break. It's been a bit temperamental all morning. It was lashing it down earlier, but now the sun is shining, and well, the track seems pretty dry, but you can never be too certain around here at Whilton Mill. It is slippery when it is wet, and trust me, it was like ice earlier on. So we get underway on our formation lap and get ready to go racing. We had a brilliant day's racing yesterday, of course, in our race one. We've got plenty more to look forward to here in race two. It's Matt Burkin who starts from the pole position, with Will Howarth going off alongside Richard Holmes-Williams. He starts in P3 with Craig Ashall in P4. Then the third row is Holly Harris alongside Nick Bennett, with Reece Gentry in 7th and Chris Yeomans in P8. They're followed by Mark Payne and David Mayat to round up the top 10, with Gary Eldridge in 11th, Callum White in 12th. Lamar Morgan, he starts 13th with Keaton Payne in 14th. Shannon King is 15th and Robert Kitley is 16th. Then it's Duncan Diper and Jerome Richards on row 9, and Rob Gentry, Alberto Venteo and Steve Johns finish off the grid. So 21 riders to look forward to here. Of course, unfortunately, if you're not aware, not having Josh Burkin, one of the Burkin boys, not with us, still out with an injury following his spectacular agin at a clay pigeon. With a hole in his arm, essentially. It's quite a sight to behold, I've been told. Hopefully he'll be back for the next one at Clandale. The second time we're heading to Clandale, of course, and then after that we head to Rower and then Red Lodge to finish off the season. Over halfway through the season now here of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championships. And well, the stage is set for race 2 of the senior mini motos, and these boys, if you're new to FAB-Racing, if this is your first time joining us, they always like to put on a bit of a show, shall we say. It's Will Howarth who sits on the second place grid spot, who always puts on a fantastic performance and has been the dominant force so far this season. 72 points ahead of Matt Burkin in second in the championship coming into this round. Can he extend his lead, or can Matt strike back following his interesting race one? I think I'll say that much. And the sun is now shining and the spirits are high. We've all had some lunch, and now we're ready and raring to go racing once again here at Whilton Mill in the Midlands. And as we just wait for the flag marshal to confirm, and is that Alberto Venteo falling over before he even gets to the grid, potentially? I think it might be. That's first time we've seen that one, I think we'll say that much. Will Howarth, obviously the winner in race 1 yesterday, extending his championship lead. Can he continue that one as Alberto Venteo shaking the head? That'll be going on the highlight reel. And here we go then. We get ready to go racing. We wait for the red lights that we also wish, we also desire. It's red lights on, it's red lights off. It's a great start for Matt Burkin there. He's managed to slide away into the lead. Will Howarth as well, away better actually. So it's going to be Will Howarth that leads coming through turn 2. So Will Howarth leads from Matt Burkin. Craig Ashall in P3. Nick Bennett will follow them in P4 as well. Alberto Venteo, luckily he's managed to get going following his clumsy start, but it will be Will Howarth that leads the race. Matt Burkin, though, he's in tow, close behind as they head through Inkermans and onto Ashby. Coming down now the right-hander, some battles further back in the pack as well. The 2-2-3 there with the cardboard fairing. Just can't miss that one at all, can you? But it is Will Howarth that leads this race from the start. A great start for the championship leader, and he's going to hold on to that lead. But Matt Burkin, Lewis, he's close behind.
Yeah, it certainly is. We know how Matt Burkin is. Matt Burkin will just send up the inside. As we're about to see here, Matt Burkin dives down the inside and takes the lead of the race on lap 1 of the senior mini motor race. And now Will Howarth has been pushed back to second place, and Nick Bennett is just behind these two riders. Nick Bennett is waiting there. Nick Bennett is ready to pounce as we head round to finish lap 1 of this race. And Nick Bennett actually has already passed Will Howarth, so Will Howarth has been pushed back, and there we see Callum White and another rider down in the final corner there, just trying to get the bikes restarted back onto the track. But there's Nick Bennett in chase right now for a race leader, Matt Burkin, as he set the fastest lap last time round for 1 minute 2.987, and Matt Burkin is going to have to push on from this because Nick Bennett is looking fast.
Yeah, of course, but you can see there a dry line has formed, but you step outside of that, it's going to be damp. You've got to stay on that dry line, you've got to get the move done before you get to the corner. Matt Burkin leading from Nick Bennett, who's looking very, very fast on that 711 machine at the moment. But Will Howarth, of course, can't count him out, and you can't count him out at all, can you? He is giving a good chase as they come onto the back stretch. But unfortunately not quite close enough to challenge into the boot. Of course, Will Howarth, championship leader at the moment. Matt Burkin a close second. 76 points was the gap coming into this weekend.
Will Howarth is down.
Will Howarth down and off the bikes. That's the championship leader making a mistake, coming through the final corner. That's not the first one that we've seen there today. Problems maybe getting the bike restarted. So drama there for Will Howarth. Now it's a 2.85 in the lead. It's Matt Burkin to lose. He has a chance to really gain on the championship leader here.
Yeah, he does, and Will Howarth just falling at the final corner, losing the front, and it looks like he's bent in his tail unit, so couldn't get the bike restarted, but we'll see. He might try to find a way to get it back. In 7 laps to go in this race, so much drama is already unfolding. Matt Burkin leads the way by just 0.4 of a second, and there is Richard Holmes-Williams. We've seen him fight yesterday in race 1. He got second place in the end, 4 seconds back from first place, but right now all eyes are up front because Matt Burkin and Nick Bennett, 0.4 of a second. That is never not 0.4 of a second as Nick Bennett dives down the inside and overtakes Matt Burkin to take the lead of the race. Of 7.11 is now in the lead as we come towards the line to make it just 6 laps to go. As Matt Burkin is miles off the track. There's definitely track limits, but Nick Bennett leads the way now, 0.4 of a second this time round. It's completely flipped round with just 1 lap later.
That was a mega move there by Nick Bennett to go to the lead of the race. And then Matt Burkin, I think we wanted to go over the track limits rules and the regulations. I've got them in the back of my folder if you need. Another rider having problems there. I'm not sure if they've come off. That look a broken chain there. Tango on, and that looks like Matt Burkin challenging to the inside through Ashby. What a move by Matt Burkin. Slides up the inside, glances back. Nick Bennett gets the drive of the corner. Matt Burkin inside. No, Bennett fights back. Bennett holds on to the lead. This is brilliant action here in the second senior mini motor race at Whilton Mill. They're almost pushing each other over as they head through Zulu there and onto the back stretch here, neck and neck. Nothing to separate the pair of riders. Of course, Matt Burkin and Nick Bennett, they are some of the finest riders on this senior mini moto grid, and they will race each other so hard. Best of friends off the track, but the meanest of rivals on it. And here we go then, 5 to go this time by Matt Burkin, having a look to the inside through Oblivion, but decided not to make the move. Probably the sensible decision. He's a smart rider, Matt, despite his crazy antics. He does know when to sit back and then when to attack. He can be patient, unless of course it's the last lap of the race, and then it's all guns blazing. He's forcing himself to go the long way around the traffic. That could have cost him a lot of time, but looks like he's managed to get away with it. He's going to try again up the inside into Ashby, surely. Yes, he does. That's a very smart move. Cuts across before the braking zone and gets it done. That's cost Nick Bennett a lot of time. So Matt Burkin, a nice move there, retakes the lead.
Yeah, he does. Matt Burkin, perfect. You can just see them taking a wider line, wider entry, just carrying far more corners so you can visually see it. And now Nick Bennett has quite a gap back to Matt Burkin, so now he really just needs to get the hammer down and just push on and not make any mistakes. The track is in probably the best condition it's been all day so far. You can see dry lines everywhere, but still some wet patches that you can get easily caught out by, especially for this last sector. Nick Bennett now in charge of Matt Burkin, and he's really trying to push on. 6/10 is the gap between first and second right now. Matt Burkin is pushing ahead, a little look behind him, and currently the leaders are still really where all eyes are right now, because Matt Burkin is storming up front. Matt Burkin, though, you just see it every single round. We talk about this between him and his brother Josh. They're so exciting riders to watch. You just see it every single round. They're pushing the bikes to the limits. They're pushing each other to the limits. As you see a battle further down the field right now involving Shannon King just trying to hold off Jerome Richards and just trying to hard. It's one of our female riders here at FAB. Obviously, we've had quite a few female riders come into FAB in the past couple of seasons, especially just in motorcycle racing in general, especially with the FHO involvement and the support system that they've got in place now to get far more female riders in this class. I mean, we've seen it with Holly Harris, who actually don't see out in the field right now, but there is Shannon King right now in 11th place, battling and just trying to hold on to that 11th place, just out of the top 10. Matt Burkin this time around, it's the fastest lap of the race with a 59.865, now 7/10 ahead of Nick Bennett.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt is flying. Great to see this battle further back in the field, and great to see Shannon King as well getting involved. As you mentioned, Lewis, one of our up-and-coming female stars here at FAB-Racing. FAB, of course, being at the forefront of this big push to get more women into motorsport. And it even led to last season we had Chloe Gleason in the AC40 Rookies becoming the first female pole sitter in FAB-Racing history at the finale at Clandau. And, we just go from strength to strength in terms of team riders, and it is great to see them getting involved, great to see them getting out on track and getting some strong results. And in this battle for 11th, it may not be, the highest up the grid that Shannon King has fought for before, but she's trying nonetheless. Further up the field, Matt Burkin's got a little bit of a break as he starts to lap the battle we were just looking at, and Nick Bennett getting caught behind. 2 laps to go. Matt Burkin has a bit of breathing room here. He can look back, he can relax and go, right, I don't need to push, I don't need to defend. Nick is too far back to try a lunge as he gets held up again by Shannon King on the exit of turn 2 at Crook. He can just sit back, relax, let the race come through. He's only got 1.5 laps now. Just take it easy, bring the bike home, let's take this win, let's close down on the championship points to Will Howarth out of the race.
Yeah, Matt Burkin, although he doesn't have to do that, he still is. He just set the fast lap of the race once again last time round, this time a 59.8. So he's pushing on, and now it's a 1 second gap between himself and Nick Bennett. But Nick Bennett is not letting this go easily. Nick Bennett is still trying to pile on as much pressure as possible because he's still sitting very, very respectable lap times on that 711 red mini motor that we see here coming through the final section of the track. Actually, before we head on to what will be the final lap of this race, the final lap of race 2 for the senior mini motos, and we just see them coming around. There's quite a lot of wet patches in this final section. They make it round cleanly. The last lap flag is out now. They come round to come across that flag, and Matt Burkin once again sets the fastest lap of the race, a 59.7 now. So every single lap he's taking off a 10 off that fastest lap of the race, and really is pushing on now. Even though he's getting past some lap traffic, he's still finding a way to make up this lap time. He's still finding a way to have complete confidence because he's looked behind him and he's seen how far the gap is and still doing this, still pushing on. You see how risky that was there with the back marker, swerving out the way last minute. But on the last lap now, last half of a lap to go. Matt Burkin's perfect there, knee over the curb. The curbs are so aggressive here at Whilton Mill, but the track is in the best condition it's been all day. But Matt Burkin, the only Burkin on track today and this weekend. It's quite unusual to see no brother Josh after a crash last time out, but that will not affect him. One more corner to get round him. Now Matt Burkin just needs to stay focused, get round this final corner, get on the power and see the checker flag wave for him. Matt Burkin wins the senior mini moto race 2 from Nick Bennett. Nick Bennett coming home in a very, very respectable second place, 2.8 seconds back, and Richard Holmes-Williams will come home in 3rd place. And to round off that podium position, Will Howarth dropping all the way back to 4th place after that tip-off earlier on.
Brilliance from Burkin. That is absolutely how you do it when your rival has a rough one. Will Howarth, kudos for getting back up to 4th place. That's rescued a lot of points there, but Matt Burkin, Will Howarth, his main championship rival, on the deck. He's seen the opportunity and he's taken it with both hands. Brilliant stuff. 2.8 seconds the gap in the end. Richard Holmes-Williams as well, rounding out the podium. Matt is a fantastic rider. We know that. He's a lovely guy. Interesting sense of humour, I think I'll say that much, but he is absolutely brilliant out on track, and that is absolutely fantastic. With Matt Burkin taking the victory, Nick Bennett in P2, Richard Holmes-Williams takes P3 as well, Howarth in P4, David Meyer is P5 with Craig Ashwell P6, Reece Gentry 7th, Chris Showman's 8th, Callum White 9th, and Gary Eldridge 10th. That'll be it then for the senior mini motos race 2, but of course, don't be afraid, don't go anywhere. You've still got some race 3 action to look forward to.
Still one more race 2 to go, and next up will be the last race 2 of the day, and it will be the Premier Class. It will be the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship, and alongside me for this race is a special guest, Sullivan Mounsey. I'm sure you've all heard of him, but if you haven't, introduce yourself, Sully.
Hi, my name's Sullivan Mounsey and I ride in the British Talent Cup for Whilton Racing.
And well, obviously, Sullivan Mounsey, you're meant to be on track this weekend for the Extreme 200 race, but explain to everyone at home why you're not and why you're here in the commentary box instead.
So I just had a little spill off earlier in the weekend, yesterday, just on the curbs, and I just decided that let's not injure myself for MotoGP and just keep it tidy and keep myself good, because I'm still a little bit battered and bruised from Brands Hatch.
Yeah, obviously quite a big crash at Brands Hatch coming out of Druids, and yeah, it was quite heavy to watch on TV, never mind seeing it in person. So apart from that, you just batter and bruised, no long-standing injuries, should just be all fit and good to go for next weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a go. I can't promise anything, but right now, the last race at Brands from 27th to 11th, I felt okay. I did struggle with a little bit of pain, but my foot is recovering, so I'll hopefully be good.
So obviously, I believe actually the bikes went round for another warm-up, but still we're still next weekend. How are you feeling towards obviously being in the MotoGP paddock and being racing at a MotoGP weekend?
Yeah, it's really good. I'm just still quite nervous because it is a big weekend for me, but I think it's going to be a good weekend. I've got everyone at Wilson and all my sponsors and supporters here for me, so it's going to be good.
And have you got any expectations for next weekend? Are you just going to go out there, obviously on the GP circuit, and just see where you place and then go from there? Yeah,
I'm going to go for the win, but no promises.
Yeah, well, right now we're just waiting for the Mini GP70s to line up on the grid before we can get underway. And, well, Sullivan, you've been at FAB for a couple of rounds this year. I'm sure you know yourself the amount of talent that is waiting in this grid and the amount of class and great racing that we get from this class.
Yeah. It's a really good class. It's very competitive. And I know I'm pretty sure I know every single rider in this class, and I know they're all at the top level for their age group, and they're just getting even better. And it's just so good to see that they're getting better, and the competition's getting higher and higher every year.
Yeah, it is, and they set out now on their warm-up lap, and it's going to be Ethan Sparks who starts in pole position with Marco Holt alongside them with that minion helmet, of course. Blake Wilson in third place, and got a third actually yesterday, a nice podium position for him with Ronnie Harris alongside him. Henry McCartney will start fifth with Luke Fitchett in sixth, Ruben Bray seventh, Samuel Munson will start in eighth position with Ollie Sims starting in 9th, and Noah Guillory will round off our grid in Mini GP70s in 10th position. But I can tell you actually that according to Ross, it's just been out trackside, all bikes are on wet tyres apart from Marco Holt, which has took the gamble for slicks. So Sullivan, if you were in this race right now, what tyre choice would you do with the way the track's looking right now and the way conditions are?
I'd go with Marco, to be honest. I'd go for slicks. As one of the riders, I help out Luke Fitchett. I'm pretty sure he's on slicks as well, and it was a bit of a gamble, last minute choice for him, but it's all going to be about line choice and who can stay on the right line and keep it tidy, really.
Yeah, and who can keep it tidy off the line and get a good start. So we're just waiting for the start marshals to head off, final checks to be done on the grid, and then we can get underway for the start of race 2 for the Mini GP70 LS2 Helmets British Championships. We're just waiting, final checks to be done. What is going to happen? Let's find out. We wait for the lights to go. Lights are on, the lights are off. Very, very quick changeover. Marco Holt leads the way straight out the game with Ethan Sparks just behind him. Ethan Sparks get a pretty good launch from pole position with his teammate Ronnie Harris just behind him. Henry McCartney, no stranger to wet conditions, in that third place, but Marco Holt leads the way with the slick tyres. And then I think you can agree yourself, Sully, right now it's just trying to get through these first couple laps cleanly. They're just trying to suss out these conditions and potential wet parts of the track.
Yeah, exactly. Marco's just doing it all perfect right now. If he can keep it on the racing line, then it'll be all good, but he just needs to keep it tidy for the first few laps and then start building on himself. But I think if him and Blake can work together, they might be able to pull a gap on Ethan.
Yeah, Blake Wilson right now just behind Marco Holt in that second position, trying to take the race lead, and he does. Blake Wilson leads the way on this Mini GP70 race as Ethan Sparks has a saving the high side coming out the final corner there. Massive moment for him, but Blake Wilson leads the way from Marco Holt, and now Henry McCartney looks like he's attacking Marco Holt, because obviously Marco Holt is on these slick tyres, so he does have to take it a bit more careful and just suss out the condition and just build up heat in his tyres.
Yeah, well, exactly. It just shows that, there's
no Guillory down there in the deck and up on his feet at least, but looks a bit winded from that crash, but Blake Wilson still leads. But yeah, you're saying
if Blake's on the wets, then just shows how much more confidence he's got just using them wets. So it might have been the way to go for Blake, but it looks like it might be a red flag.
Yeah, riders right now setting up and kind of looking about. There seems to be no red flag, but definitely some confusion with parents. Everyone's just slowed down. No one actually... yeah, there's no red flags out on track at the moment, but everyone's stopping at the grid. But anyway, Sullivan, in this situation where you would have to restart and get your mind refocused, how do you keep calm yourself?
Yeah, I just have a breather, just as what Ronnie done really, just kept on going, because I don't know, I think some people just got a bit confused. Maybe there was one red flag by one person and just thought, oh no, what's going on? So it's all good, they're sorting it out now, but they all look quite good. But Blake, he's going to be on fire now. He knows he's got the confidence. Marco's got a sus for the track, so some people are going to be able to sort themselves out and work a bit better now.
Yeah, and Ronnie Harris, of course, is meant to be getting a wild card to the British Talent Cup. How do you feel about seeing all these FAB talents coming and doing wild cards at the British Talent Cup?
Yeah, well, I think it's awesome. I'm going to try and, if I could give him as much help or a couple track map advice as much as I can, really, because I know he's a good rider and he's quite respectful and he always listens and learns. I have helped some riders in the past that haven't always been so invested, but kind of the riders that I like and the kinds that I spend time with, which is pretty much a lot of these in here.
Yeah, so it's great to see the FAB talent. As we wait to see if we're going to get underway now for the actual restart, I guess, of this race, and we wait to see pointing to the lights. So we're going to get underway here, and now we are underway for the restart of the Mini GP70 race. Marco Holt leads the way once again. Now it looks like one of the Vision Track bikes looks to be Ronnie Harris is in second place. Yeah, Ronnie Harris is in second place, but Blake Wilson straight away is trying to fight back with Henry McCartney in that fourth position. Just got overtaken by Ethan Sparks. Ethan Sparks jumps up to that fourth, but Luke Fitchett right now in sixth place has just got past Samuel Muntz. But Luke Fitchett, he's been looking so strong and so confident, especially in the 50s in these wet conditions, and it really takes confidence in yourself and the bike to be fast in wet conditions.
Yeah, exactly. I like the way he's been building into it, but Ronnie's learnt from his mistake in the first race and he's just going for it now. He's not going to try and let Blake pull away, but so is Samuel. Samuel's just not giving up. He knows as soon as they start edging away, they'll just go Blake and Marco. But as you can see, Marco just tiptoed around that last corner, so he was offline on the...
Yeah, and Marco Holt now has just been overtaken for the race lead from Blake Wilson. Blake Wilson is looking so strong, and now with this race being restarted and it's a full length restart, this might just play into Marco Holt's hands. Obviously he's on the slick tyres, so now this is just giving the track more and more time to dry so it can come to Marco Holt.
Exactly, so I think it could actually work for him, especially for the people on wets, as this is going to shred their tyres. So we'll soon see what the tyres are like for each rider, but Marco could come to the top with how this race has worked out.
Yeah, and certainly, what do you think it's going to be like for these riders? Because obviously you've rode the British Talent Cup bike yourself for a couple of years now. What do you think it's going to take to adapt to one of these bikes from these Metrokit 70s?
Well, I train on one of these bikes and it is a little bit faster. We're now making a 90cc Metrokit for a little bit of practice, but trust me, these are such good bikes, a good way to lead up to the British Talent Cup. And these guys are out there in Spain at the top of the levels, so I know that Marco's third in the championship and Blake's about fifth, I think. So it just shows that this is the top level here in England, and if these guys went over to Spain, then they'll be able to do the exact same as them. So it just shows that these guys are at the top of their level and the others are going to be able to we've got some good English riders coming through.
Yeah, and it just proves how great the Metrokit bikes are and how great FAB-Racing is at producing young talent. We've got many names over the years, and now these are the names of the future. This is Marco Holt chasing Blake Wilson, and 9 laps to go now, and Marco Holt just set the fastest lap of the race with a 52 flat, 3/10 off Blake Wilson right now. So Blake Wilson is still under immense pressure right now, and it looks like actually Marco Holt's just trying to make a move there on the brakes, but he couldn't make it work. Just seeing where Blake Wilson's braking just slightly later, but you can just see the amount of corner speed you're able to carry on these bikes. And you mentioned yourself, you've raced one of these yourself. What are they like to ride, and what are they like to race around these kart circuits?
Yeah, well, it's fabulous. These bikes, they're easy, nice and light, and easy to turn. They're 2-strokes, which I think is the way to go for practicing. As the rear, it gets you to get better at throttle control, lean angle. You have to ride these bikes a little bit harder than you might do with 4-strokes. But as you can see, Marco's just staying on the back of Blake, and if he can stay with him, if Blake is on them wets, then it will be all right. But if he's on slicks, then Marco's going to have to know that he's got to push a little bit harder later on.
Yeah, I'm sure they would look on the grid to see who their main rivals are going to be, and it looks like now the wet runners are doing about 54-second lap times, 53 seconds, so about 2 seconds slower than the dry runners. So it definitely looks like slick tyres are the way to go. And now it looks like Ronnie Harris actually is in third place as Samuel Munson jumps up to fourth, overtaking Ethan Spark, championship leader. Won the championship last year and is trying to become a 2-time champion, because obviously he's not old enough to move up from the 70s, so he's just spending a bit more time learning and be able to still get a race, even though he won the championship last year, which is so great to see.
Yeah, I think it's just really good to just see, because there's a lot of them there. We've got Ronnie Harris and Samuel Munson here, both fabulous riders, but they do look like they're a little bit more cautious. I'm not sure whether they are on slicks or wet, but they're both riding to the capability. But you'll start to see now the rears moving, but now we can see Marco and Blake, they're just going off for it now. Marco's clocked that Blake's just going for it, and the tyres are going to be not going to lose much grip, so we're going to start to see an even more intense battle.
Yeah, Mark Holt takes the lead of the race from Blake Wilson, setting the fastest lap of the race last time round. It looks like he's on track to set another. He looks so fast. You can already see Blake Wilson is almost getting left in the dust already. Marco Holt looks like he's pulled the pin, just got that tyre temperature and got that confidence, and has just went for it. And that time round, actually, Mark Holt, that battle has slowed them down just slightly, but it's a 4/10 of a second gap now. If you're Blake Wilson at this point in the race, would you sit behind and try and learn off Marco a little bit, or would you still just try and get past as soon as you can?
Yeah, I'd stay behind Marco, because I've just seen him. It was a little moment, as he was just coming out of the left hand, where Marco overtook him just as he went on to the right for the switchback. He just had a little moment where you can still see these very treacherous conditions, and you can see these riders still pushing to their full potential, even though the track's a bit ishy.
Yeah, Marco Holt still leading the way, but now it looks like that gap has came down once again. Blake Wilson is retaliating straight away. He's seeing where Marco Holt is strong and is going to pounce. There's no way he's not. They come across line now just to make it 5 laps to go in this race. The clock is ticking down. Laps are ticking down. Every single corner is a missed opportunity now. Blake Wilson is trying to look up the inside for the hairpin. He's doing the doctor's dangle but cannot make it work. Marco Holt closes the door in the number 58 minion helmet, and it looks like now Marco Holt is just trying his best to defend here. It doesn't look like he's trying to show too much to Blake Wilson. He's just trying to use his head, which is what I personally love to see about this series. It's just how fast these riders learn and how fast they learn the race craft and to use their head while racing a bike. It's so great to see such mature rides.
Yeah, exactly. These guys are just ultimate. Their braking, their throttle, their lines. This is fabulous to see, because I don't even think I was at this level on a 50, because I never actually raced a 70. But you just see how much corner speed they're carrying. I came back here last year on my metric kit, and I was able to set quite a good couple laps and set the pace they were doing. But these guys are like half my age pretty much. I think Marco and Blake are about 10, 11, and I was 13 to 14, so it just shows how good these riders are that are coming up, and they're learning at a much better rate.
Yeah, Ethan Sparks has now got past Ronnie Harris for that 5th position. Luke Fitchett has now made it up into the podium places as Ollie Sims now looks to be on the attack for Ronnie Harris. Ronnie Harris is looking pretty vulnerable right now as the championship leader makes up into that 5th position, into the top 5. Ollie Sims dives down the inside, but gets the door slammed into his face by Ronnie Harris. Ronnie Harris is trying everything here. Maybe it's at a point now where tyres are starting to go slightly off because the sun is out, track temperature is rising every single lap, so now maybe it's just that the tyres are slightly going off, and now it's all about confidence and trusting your tyres on what's left of them.
Exactly. You literally can just see how much these guys are pushing, but I'm pretty sure this pack is all just on wets now, because I see they are having a little bit of moments, and Ethan's not carrying the lean angle I am used to seeing him use. Same with Ronnie. Just looking at the tyres close, it looks like they are on wets, which is a bit annoying for all these riders, but you can see that they are all pushing because they're all at the same pace.
Yeah, they're all at the same pace, so they all must be on the same tyre, and Ollie Sims now at same corner tries to make the move, but at the same time gets the door slammed in his face once again. 2 laps to go in this race, and Marco Holt sits the fastest lap of the race with a 51 flat, but obviously these bikes, they're quite difficult to ride, and the battle's still raging on now for 3rd place. Samuel Munson has made it back into 3rd from Luke Fitchett, of course won the 50s earlier on. So now with these conditions changing every single lap, do you adjust your braking marker, or do you kind of stick to the same?
Well, if I was on my dry tyres, then I'd probably just push to how I'd normally push on a qualifying lap. Like Marco is he's just chipping away at his times now, and he'll probably start to see them getting lower and lower to the 50s.
And now we're coming around for the final lap. The final lap time, the final lap flag is out, and Marco Holt is leading the way over Blake Wilson. Now the gap's 1.7 seconds, so the gap has risen. Marco Holt is in full control of this race in the final lap. He just needs to keep calm, he just needs to bring it home. The Minion helmet is looking for the trophy. You see a little moment there, a little lift off the outside foot peg, but now he's going to be delighted with the slick tyres. It was a gamble. The gamble paid off, and now between him and Blake Wilson it's a 1.7 second gap, and behind them it's an extra 15 seconds back to Samuel Munson in 3rd place. So these two up front have been so good all race. They've been so consistent with the lap times. They've been so brave from the first lap just to be able to push. They come past the pit lane entrance, they come round towards the final corner, and then he comes round to see the checker flag and to win the LS2 Helmets Mini GP 70 British Championship Race 2 here at Whilton Mill. The sun is out now. Blake Wilson takes that 2nd position, and Samuel Munson takes 3rd, but then this battle is still going on for that 5th position. Ethan Sparks currently leads this pack with his teammate Ronnie Harris just behind. Ollie Sims though wants a piece of this, and now Ollie Sims is coming out the final corner in the drive, trying racing towards the line. Will he make it? No, he will not. 11 thousandths of a second at the line, so Ollie Sims couldn't make it work, but Mark Holt, an amazing ride from him.
Yeah, it was a perfect gamble for him, and he's just made it pay off. At the end, he done exactly what he'd done. He just started chipping away and kept pulling that gap on Blake, because he saw Blake was going to keep on putting moves on him, and he just pulled the pin and pulled away on them last couple laps, but it worked perfectly for him.
And well, thanks for joining me. One final question for you, and well, obviously you've raced mini motos growing up, and then you went on to the 50s. From a rider's insight, what was the biggest difference for you to learn and to adapt to for someone like Archie O'Brien who's currently doing that?
Yeah, well, Archie O'Brien, he's in the 50s, and he's one of the top riders in the 50s, battling with Luke and Marco who are in the 70s, and he's just doing 50s, and he's doing fabulous. So I think Archie's a really good rider. I like him. He's very motivated, and yeah, he won the mini motos, and he's jumped on the 50, and he's just gone out there and blitzed the 50s, and I'm pretty sure if he's not doing the 70s by the end of this year, then it was going to be one of the front runners next year in the 70s. I can be sure of that.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with you. Marco Holt is a front runner in the 70s, and he wins the race by 2.3 seconds over Blake Wilson. Luke Fitchett comes home in 3rd after winning 2 mini GP50 races so far this weekend. Samuel Munson 4th, Ethan Sparks, the first Vision Track bike 5th, Ronnie Harris 6th, Ollie Sims 7th, Henry McCartney 8th, Ruben Bray 9th, and Noah Gilroy getting that DNF. But thanks, Sully, so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure having you here, and good luck from myself and everyone else here at FAB for Silverstone next weekend.
Thank you.
So now next up we are going to have the first race free, the Pit Bike 140 race free, and back next to me once again is Ross McIntyre. So Ross, great having you back and for the perfect time for the Pit Bike 140 race.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the pit bikes. You can't go wrong. It's been a bit of a different kind of pit bikes atmosphere this weekend. Not had our typical pit bike dogfights all throughout the field. Instead, it's been dominated by that man in the yellow helmet, Rossi Banham, who has just been on another planet, it would seem. He has been phenomenal, but there's still been some action throughout the pack, and seems to be that the track is pretty much dry now as well, so the threat of rain not coming in anymore. See the riders lining up there on the grid. Rossi Banham from the pole position as we get ready to go racing. A few of the other riders coming in to get a start on their green flag lap, and of course this week, as already mentioned, at Whilton Mill, we've got a lot of old faces returning, some international superstars returning as we get ready to get going on our green flag lap. It is Rossi Banham, the championship leader, who goes from the pole position. Harvey Claridge goes from alongside him with Reece Peacock and Carter Brown on the second row. Lucas Brown and Eddie O'Shea start on row 3 with Harrison Crosby in 7th and Richard Holmes-Williams in 8th, with Liam Wood and Michael Med rounding out the top 10. Then it's Chris Wells, followed by Samuel Munson with Darren Anderson in 13th and Nathan Riggy 14th. Ollie Walker is 15th with Tristan Finocchiaro in P16. Matthew Lindley is 17th with Callum Beach in P18. They're followed by Jamie King and Sean Whitaker. Then on the 11th row is Adam Redding and Max Perry. Zach Torian, the leader of the Rookies Cup within the PB 140s. He's 23rd with Elliot Crosby 24th. Cameron Saul, he's 25th with Chadley Whiting in 26th. Then there's Thomas Dudson, Roger Monks, Robert Meadow, Aston Dean, Matt Edwards, Keaton Payne, Paul Nozel, George Muscat and Jorge Serra rounding out the grid. This massive 35 bike grid for the Pit Bike 140s. And well, it's all slick tyres as far as the eye can see. The track is dry, the sun is shining, and we are ready to go racing. The front four on the grid spots now, just waiting for the last few riders to come in before we, of course, get ready for the red lights. The final race for the Pit Bike 140s this weekend. It's been a weekend dominated by Rossi Banham. Can anybody spoil the young man's day and snatch the hat-trick which seemed oh so certain at the end of race 2? That man has been dominating the championship. He's dominated this weekend at Whilton Mill as Tristan comes in, finally gets his grid spot, and we send our eyes to the 2 red lights which go out now when we get racing. And it's another brilliant start from Rossi Banham. Carter Brown doesn't get away particularly well, but is able to hold on to 3rd place. Meanwhile, it will be Harvey Claridge that holds on to 2nd and is challenging Rossi Banham. Meanwhile, there's drama as some of the riders don't get away, but further back in the pack, moves been made. Harvey Claridge goes to the lead up the inside through Christmas Corner. Rossi Banham now does have his work cut out for him as they head through Inkermans and into Ashby. And look at the amount of riders snaking through the top end of the track, but it's Harvey Claridge that now leads this race from championship leader Rossi Banham, the junior superstock rider, who we wanting to get back in front as quickly as possible. Harvey Claridge, he's been phenomenal this weekend. Further back as well, it's Carter Brown still just holding on to that 3rd place position. Didn't get the greatest start in the world, but he's just about there and holding on. Lucas Brown as well. Eddie O'Shea getting involved in the mix there. Reece Peacock as well. Reece Peacock's actually got through Carter Brown, so changes for position, but it is Harvey Claridge who leads the first lap of this race, followed by Rossi Banham. Reece Peacock is in P3 now with Lucas Brown in P4, so changes of foot as Carter Brown wants ride, and that looks like Carter Brown with problems as he gets waved goodbye by some of his competitors.
Yeah, Eddie O'Shea playing some games there with Carter Brown. Carter Brown making a slight mistake there, running a bit wide, but then almost getting made fun of by his competitors. But it's still Harvey Claridge who leads the way out front on that number 6 motorcycle. It looks like it's a slightly smaller motorcycle, so maybe a bit easier just to throw about a bit, but to actually fit on the bike and get tucked in as much as possible, it's been very, very difficult. There's Eddie O'Shea under attack right now over by Harrison Crosby, and Harrison Crosby now having to go for it, and there's Lucas Brown making a move and really pushing on past Reece Peacock now as over the curb goes Carter Brown. That was motocrossing style. Both of them on. There's Jack Andrews off at the final corner there, so not all the riders making it through that first lap in that final corner. And there's Eddie O'Shea shake of the head as they go 3 wide with Carter Brown and Harrison Crosby. What a race we're having here in the Pit Bike 140. This is more like it. This is what we expect.
It is indeed, as Harvey Claridge and Rossi Banham streak off into the distance. Behind them it seems everyone's just having some fun and games. All the British Talent Cup boys coming back, having a laugh. These lot which you're seeing right here with Eddie O'Shea, Harrison Crosby, Carter Brown, they're just here for some fun, for some track time with their mates. But they're racing ferociously as well. Further in front, Lucas Brown and Reese Peacock, 2 of our regulars, 2 of the finest riders on this pit bike grid, duking it out for P3. And then there you go, Eddie O'Shea, Harrison Crosby, Carter Brown, all fighting for position as they streak on through. Back to the lead battle on the run up to Christmas corner. Rossi Banham set the fastest lap of the race last time at 53 dead. He started to turn up the pace. He started to put the pressure on. There goes Carter Brown up the inside on the run into Christmas corner. Nice and textbook. And that's Rossi Banham in the lead of the race. So Rossi Banham back into the lead here at Whilton Mill. Didn't take long for him to get back through. There goes Harvey Claridge. He slots back through as well. We've got a battle for the lead on our hands for the ages. This is brilliant stuff as they head onto the backstretch and out of Zulu. Rossi Banham, he's been having a few problems in the Extreme 200 class, but the pit bike has been his own category. 2 race wins from 2 so far as he puts the pressure on, gets a slightly narrow line out of the corner, gets the drive out of the corner, gets the position with a brilliant move. But Harvey Claridge fights straight back and into oblivion. He keeps the place. Oh, this one's going to go down to the wire.
Yeah, certainly. It's just exactly what we expect the Pit Bike 140s. Rossi Banham now in the slipstream towards the hair, but will he make a move? Yes, he will. Down the inside he goes, knee flat on the floor to the flip-flop and straight out of it. Rossi Banham still being able to maintain the lead, but Harvey Claridge, you can just see how much this means to him. You can just see diving down the inside. He lost the front, and he lost the front and saved it. A Mark Marquez style save, saving it on his knee, taking the weight off that front tyre and just being able to balance out the bike and carrying on to race. Rossi Banham now is leading the race, and somehow Harvey Claridge is still in.
Unbelievable save that is. We got some drama behind, some riders suffering mechanical issues, and then up the front, the battle for the lead. Rossi Banham back in control. Harvey Claridge though with that magnificent save, still fighting, heading through Crook now on the run up to Christmas corner. Rossi Banham, this is the biggest challenge he's had all weekend in the Pit Bike 140s. Claridge is giving it a good old go, and there is still 7 laps left of this final race of the weekend. A quick glance back from Rossi Banham. That was nervous. You don't really want to glance back on that short stretch of racetrack on the run into Ashby. So clearly worried about what Claridge is doing, clearly nervous about the rider behind. He knows he's got pace on board. Further back as well, Reese Peacock and Lucas Brown fighting hard, and behind them Harrison Crosby, Carter Brown, Eddie O'Shea dropping back just a little bit from that battle with his 2 friends. Clearly waving goodbye at Carter Brown earlier and coming back to bite him, and that looks like Eddie O'Shea potentially with problems again. We know he's had 2 retirements this weekend, and he's going backwards again down the straight, so he's either made a mess of a corner exit somewhere, or he's got some serious problems on that pit. Like another glance back for Rossi Banham. He is really feeling the heat under this Midland sun here at Whilton Mill, coming up against a bit of back marker traffic now. Banham clears it pretty well, as does Claridge. We've seen back markers come into play before, Lewis, and change the results of the race on their head, and that could come in here.
Yeah, certainly, mate. We see that even at the first red light, and it's involving Rossi Banham. But Rossi Banham trying to find his way, trying to cut his way through back markers. Harvey Claridge then goes round the outside of the back markers. And Harvey Claridge, full commitment this race. The thing about it, the first 2 races, it's been over 8 seconds gap between Harvey Claridge and Rossi Banham. So Harvey Claridge just went to the drawing board and fought for race 3. It's all or it's nothing. We've seen it almost crash, but now Rossi Banham almost clipping into the back of the back marker, heading into turn 1 there. So full commitment, has a little look, one hand on the bike. He looks quite relaxed down that straight, maybe just have a little look, see how much pressure he's under. And Rossi Banham, a national level rider, and not feeling any pressure right now. But you can see now the bike's protesting. It's such a bumpy track here. It's so difficult. Of course, 2 former British Talent Cup racers Rossi Banham now racing the junior super stock category on the Kawasaki 636, while Harvey Claridge went towards the GP2 route, racing the Moto2 Championship in British Superbikes, which is integrated into the super sport race. But Rossi Banham with that bright and iconic levers, you know it's Rossi Banham, you know where he is, and right now he's up at the front with 4 laps to go.
Yeah, he's turned it up, hasn't he? He's seen the gap back to Harvey Claridge. That bottom marker just causing a bit of trouble for the rider in second place. And now Rossi has got a bit of breathing room. He doesn't have to focus on defending. He's now focusing forward, and that's why the gap is now 1.6 seconds at the line. I think that battle's done unless Rossi makes a mistake or Harvey suddenly finds some magical pace somewhere. Further back though, Bruce Peacock and Lucas Brown still very much on. Carter Brown and Harrison Crosby still very much on. And looking down the timing screen, Eddie O'Shea, no one to be seen. So I fear more mechanical problems then for the Red Bull rookie star. Down the inside goes the 777 of Michael Mead, and further up as well, oh my goodness me, nearly contact, I believe that was Carter Brown trying to get at the inside of Harrison Crosby. But there is some action absolutely everywhere you look. Up the front though, Rossi Banham, new fastest lap, new lap record in the process of 52.274, smashes his previous record from race 1 by 0.2 of a second. Brilliant attempt there. Gap's now 2.6. He's pulled a second on Harvey Claridge in 1 lap. He is now on it, and he's on for the hat-trick. This is an unbelievable performance.
Yeah, it certainly is. And there is number 74 of Carter Brown, who's just overtaken by Harrison Crosby, as there the 72 of Samuel Munson, just been out in the 70s, is now under attack, now battling away, which is so great to see, with slightly older riders just being able to still find a race. Currently with Liam Wood, these two duking it out for what is 7th place and 7th position. But here's Carter Brown. Carter Brown is on it. He's trying to find any way past those battles absolutely everywhere. Samuel Munson plants it in front of Liam Wood and plants it ahead and staying ahead right now. The smaller rider, obviously he's quite young for the Pit Bike 140 class, but he's making it work and he's making that move stick, as Carter Brown has made the move stick on Harrison Crosby. Harrison Crosby's trying to say otherwise. Ollie Walker now is trying to chase the 777 of Michael Med, and now Ollie Walker right into the rumble strips, as that is Rossi Banham now. You can see how hard he's pushing out to the curb, the bike shaking and wobbling and protesting, saying that it can't go any further. It's on its absolute knife edge limit. But that's how Rossi Banham rides, and right now he's got almost a 4-second lead.
This is Rossi Banham at absolute maximum attack. I feel like he wants to re-break his own lap record, which he only set moments ago, which broke the lap record he set yesterday. He is absolutely flying and coming on to this final lap now for the junior super stock star. Is he going to break it this time? Let's check the gap. No, a couple of tenths down, but it's the final lap and he's still going all out. And I mean, just look at how hard he's pushing, getting so close to the ground. Massive lean angles, super late on the brakes, using that rear brake to pivot the rear of the bike around the corner. He is just absolutely on it. Full commitment from the young man, who's one of the nicest men in the paddock. Such a lovely guy, but out on track he is ruthless, he is phenomenal, and he mainly is fast. And look at that, using all of the track and then some, coming down into Chapman and out of Zulu, getting over the curb a little bit now. This is all about if Rossi Banham can break his own lap record. Oh, a big wobble on the bike coming to the boot. Well, it doesn't really matter if he doesn't break the lap record, because this is it for the hat-trick. It's been brilliance from Banham all weekend. He wheelies and takes race 3 to cap off a perfect performance in the Pit Bike 140s. That, my friends, is how it is done. Unbelievable stuff from Rossi Banham. Claridge manages to bring it home in 2nd place with Reese Peacock in 3rd. Further back, Samuel Munson trying to fight for 7th place from Liam Wood and Michael Meg. Can he hold on to it at the line? It's going to be a drag race. No, he does just hold on to it. But Rossi Banham, that is one of the best performances, weekend performances, that I have seen. Phenomenal.
Yeah, Rossi Banham all weekend is like so dominant, but in that race at the start it didn't look like that was going to be the case. It didn't look like we were going to see a runaway race, but Rossi Banham kept his cool, pushed Harvey Claridge to his absolute limit, and Harvey Claridge almost crashing out as Rossi Banham now wins by just over 5 seconds. I mean, Fantastic race, and now Rossi Banham celebrating with the fans and celebrating third race win of the weekend on race 3 as he wins by 5.3 seconds over Harvey Claridge in second place. Reece Peacock getting the final podium position with Lucas Brown, Talent Cup rider, in fourth place with fellow Talent Cup riders Carter Brown and Harrison Crosby just behind him. Samuel Munson in 7th place just came after the GP70 race, and Liam Wood in 8th, Ollie Walker 9th, and Michael Med rounds out the top 10 for what was a phenomenal final Pit Bike 140 race of the weekend.
Oh, that is just the perfect way to cap off a weekend's racing in the Pit Bike 140s. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And of course, don't be afraid that the pit bikes are over. Next round, when we go to South Wales, once again we go to Clandau for round 6 of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championships, the Pit Bike 140s. They'll be back. One last hurrah for reigning champion Taylor Lawrence before he goes and joins the military. It's set to be an absolutely phenomenal weekend of racing in just a few weeks' time. Well then, it is time to get going for race 3 of the AC40 Pros. It's been 2 fantastic races so far. We've still got 1 left to go. And, well, I think it's safe to say we've had a few riders putting on some fantastic performances so far this weekend. I mean, one you can see there, Matthew Thomas on the 128, the green machine, has been absolutely phenomenal, I think it's safe to say. But so many riders out there have been brilliant. Byron Johnson, of course, been racking up the points as per normal. Oliver Hall was a rider I was keeping my eye out on in race 1 and 2. It's a very stacked grid of brilliant talent, brilliant young mini moto talent here. And well, they've got 1 more time to go around. It's getting nice, warm and humid again, much like the conditions yesterday, just with a bit more sun here at Whilton Mill for round 5 of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championship. And these guys, 1 more time to go around. Some of them will be appearing later on, of course, in race 3 of the LC40 Elites. But well, for the pros, this is it. 1 more time. We will be going around here in the afternoon on Sunday. And well, again, there's been some brilliant racing so far, not just from these guys, but from everyone across the weekend. And it has been a real pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it certainly has. And conditions have been up and down all weekend, but it's nice to finally have a nice, well, somewhat dry track. And now you can see some people talking, including Scott Ogden, Vision Track rider, next to Harrison Day's dad, of course, Josh Day, who was multiple-time Ducati champion. But Scott Ogden is going to be a marshal for this race, actually, which is going to be a slightly different setting for the Moto3 rider, and which will be racing at the Moto3 race at the British Grand Prix next weekend. So slightly different style, slightly different viewpoint of this race, but it's so great to see him getting stuck in, and so many returning people coming and getting stuck in right into Fab.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Fab, it's the starting ground for many young riders. This is kind of really where the young riders start to learn their trade, learn their craft. Of course, FAB-Racing, part of the Dorna Road to MotoGP programme and in the official partner series to the Bennett's Superbike Championship. Just been told that there's a marshal's briefing going on by Race Control, which is why you can just see them all standing around. You can see there one of the race directors, Rob, just having a word, just making sure that everyone is okay. But as I was saying, this is the place to be for young motorcycle stars to start their career if they want to move up to the British Talent Cup. Since 2019, every single season, over 60% of that field have been from FAB-Racing, have graduated to the Honda British Talent Cup from FAB-Racing, which is fantastic. And, well, as you've seen throughout the day, lots of them come back. Lots of them just, come back, spend some time with friends, get some track time in on a different style of motorcycle, just, reminisce about times gone by. And as well, another thing to note as well this weekend, that absolutely packed crowd, every single race being watched by every single member of the paddock, and even more who have turned up to see some absolutely brilliant racing. And it is great to see such a large crowd. There is race director Roger Keys, just making sure that everything is all okay before we head out onto the grid. He's now seemingly heading over to have a word with his other half, Rob, other half in race direction, that is. Just having a few words, things being discussed, probably what's for dinner, something along those lines. And here we go then. Out come the AC40 Pros.
The AC40 Pros now out on track for what will be their sighting lap before we can get onto the warm-up lap and then get the race underway. This will be the final race of the AC40 Pros, but as Ross mentioned, some of these riders also taking part in what is the LC40 Elites, because at FAB they give them an opportunity basically to reduce some costs, get extra track time for pretty cheap, and get more experience on a motorcycle, and which is all which matters. This is the middleweight category for mini motor racing, for junior mini motor racing, and it's the one where we really start to get to see who are going to be the talents of the future, and we really get to see the pace that some of these riders have that they can hopefully take one day onto a Metro kit or just a bigger size bike or a Honda British Talent Cup bike, because we have so many riders going on to the British Talent Cup, and I'm sure in 7 or 8 years time we will see these guys at national level racing on national circuits, doing our country proud. So now we're just waiting for them to line up onto the grid, and then we'll get underway for what will be the final AC40 Pro race of the weekend. And it's quite a big field, the AC40 Pros. We have a 16 bike field. It's enough for everyone to get a good race, and that is what we see every single round. We get great racing from every single part of the track, really. I mean, these guys, they invent overtakes at parts of the track we wouldn't even think it's possible. We've seen throughout the season Byron Johnson just doing amazing, not only in the AC40 Pros but also in the LC40 Elites, managing to get that air-cooled bike onto the front row of the LC40 Elite grid. But it'll be Byron Johnson that lines up on pole position ahead of Lewis Hull. Sam Gardner starts second row with Harrison Day alongside him in fourth. Matthew Thomas in fifth. Rex Austin will start this race from sixth. Liam Lindquist should be starting this race from seventh. I believe he should be taking part in today's race for and Oliver Hall will be starting eighth. Jensen Bishop ninth. Bradley Curtis 10th, Bethany Ashby 11th, George Ackerman 12th, after quite a few issues that he's had today. Dylan Tureem will be starting 13th with Cal Maxwell alongside him. Chloe Sewell 15th, and Lucy Curtis will be rounding off our grid in 16th position. So we're looking towards a great race. It looks like it's hot conditions out there for these riders, and the real question is, will Byron Johnson be able to win this race?
We'll have to wait and see. I mean, if it's hot out there, it's getting very warm in our commentary box, that is for sure. Byron Johnson has had a pretty strong weekend, I think it is safe to say, and I'm sure he's looking forward to this one. One rider who will be very disappointed with this weekend so far, I think, is Harrison Day, who has had opportunities left, right and centre, and just for one reason or another, he had a chain fall off, and the rain caused chaos in race 2. And ultimately it just hasn't come to fruition. I'm sure he'd love to come away from this weekend with a win. I think he knows he has the pace for it. I think he has the pace for it. He just needs to get away well at the start. And then Lewis Hull as well, I think, is another rider who'll be looking for some sort of strong result here. He was running fairly well in race 2, then the weather caught him out. We'll just have to wait and see. Last few checks from the marshals / parents, and here we go then. It's race 3 of the AC40 Pros. The red lights, they come on, and it's red lights off. It's a great start there from Harrison Day, and we get going, but it is going to be Byron Johnson that leads into turn 1 once again. But Harrison Day following sweet Sam Garner. I think he fell back from his original starting point there. Also Lewis Hull even got a good start, so Liam Lindquist moving forward as well, it would seem. But it will be Byron Johnson who gets the best start, but Harrison Day chasing him and closer and closer. Harrison Day, of course, hasn't won a race since round 1, and then his awful accident in race 2. Obviously that rather awful period of time for his family, with his father also been involved in quite a large accident. But he's here now, and he's desperate for a win, isn't he? You can smell it. He can smell that it's on the horizon, but he's got to get past Byron Johnson.
Byron Johnson leading the way, as you said, with Sam Gardner now just trying to make up some places. Sam Gardner made up some good positions, got a good start, and now is chasing Lewis Hull, who of course last round did get pole position but couldn't transform that into a race win, and that was just because of the straight line deficit that he faces as Oliver Hull comes round the final corner with Matthew Thomas on his tail. Matthew Thomas actually has an exhaust silencer hanging off the rear of his bike, so Matthew Thomas definitely an issue with him, so it'll be interesting to see if he can manage to stay on this race and finish this race, as Harrison Day is now under attack from Lewis Hull, and Lewis Hull manages just to get past Harrison Day, as there is Matthew Thomas going slow with that silencer hanging off the side of his bike now, and really now just trying to make it round this up. There is that silencer fallen off the bike, and Overhaul is just in front of him. Overhaul is just trying his hardest to get Rex Austin, who's had an incredible weekend so far, actually. And Bethany Ashby are following this group and waiting to see what's going to happen as Matthew Thomas tries to dive around the outside there, but cannot make it work on his bike. It's practically falling apart at the moment. But Harrison Day in second, still in that second place right now, less than a second off Byron Johnson, as now Matthew Thomas has pulled into the pits, has retired from this race. So the correct thing has been done. Matthew Thomas is out this race. Sad, but it had to be done. It was an unsafe bike. But now we look and we wait and see the race leaders. Harrison Day now is under pressure from Sam Gardner as Lewis Hull is in that second position with that fastest lap of the race. Can he win this race? Can he catch up to Byron Johnson, who coming into this round had a 108-point gap? That is a crazy gap from Sam Gardner.
It is indeed a very nice move there, though, by Sam Gardner to get into the podium places, coming around Christmas corner up the inside of Harrison Day. Oliver Hall also making moves on that last lap, getting by the 991 of Rex Austin, another very strong rider. There is Harrison Day. This day clearly hasn't quite gone his way, unfortunately for him, just not quite come into fruition, but he's a phenomenal rider. As Lewis Hull there, yet another fastest lap, I believe, or he said that on the previous lap, apologies. But yeah, it's all action all throughout the field, as we've got some battles further back as well. And Lewis Hull, another fastest lap there this time, or about 5/10, almost 6/10 faster than that of Byron Johnson. He is catching Byron Johnson, which is interesting to say, because I don't think many people have been doing that this weekend, but then he's also going to get through him, which, well, we saw in race 2 early on. Lewis Hull really struggling with that one. It's one thing to catch a rider, it is another thing to go through him, especially a rider of Byron Johnson's quality. Further back, though, in the pack, Oliver Hall doing the business against some other riders. That's Rex Austin, who's just got back through him, I believe. Oliver sticking it to the inside, but can't quite make it appear. But he's getting the drive out of Ashby Corner, but no, backs out for the next left-hander. Probably the sensible thing to do. Again, many of these riders mature beyond their years. So smart on the racetrack. They know exactly when to attack, exactly when to defend, exactly when and when not to go for a gap. And that is super mature from Oliver Hall there to back out, because that could have been a bit of an interesting coming together, to say the least. Byron Johnson still leading the way. He's now responded to Lewis Hull's fastest lap by going slightly faster than Hull, not breaking the fastest lap set by Hull, though. Previously, he's just now lapping faster, if that makes sense. Sam Gardner, though, maintains P3, and Harrison Day holding on to that P4 at the moment, but there's 5 laps left to go, and the gap between Hull and Johnson only 7/10 of a second.
Yeah, just 7/10 of a second, and Byron Johnson still is leading the way, but Sam Gardner is lurking behind that third position, but he's quite a distance back now, just under 3 seconds. It looks like there was Hull a slight moment, and the battle is still going on for that 5th position as well. So we have battles all the way downfield for the lead and for that 5th place. So now the race leaders make their way through. 5 laps go in this race. They come around the final corner now. They get everything tucked in as physically possible, especially for Lewis Hull, as he takes the fastest lap of the race, a 58.7 now. Both riders in the 58s, just 1/10 faster was Lewis Hull over Byron Johnson, but that now makes the gap just half a second gap for the race win now. Byron Johnson needs to keep this go. Byron Johnson has competition now. Race 1, he won by just 7/10 of a second, so this is closer than it's been all weekend. Last race, it was such mixed conditions. These guys had no luck with weather conditions, but this race, it's nice and sunny. The track condition is lovely, but there he is going round the outside of a back marker, and Byron Johnson doing that lovely, getting it pinpoint perfect, not getting held up and not giving Lewis Hull an opportunity.
Yeah, but there you saw Lewis Hull to the inside was gaining. Of course, Lewis, a much bigger, much older rider than Byron Johnson, so he loses time down the straights just from the weight advantage of being a larger guy. But he dove through there. That was really smart. And Lewis, he's got that experience on the bike, and he's really giving Byron Johnson a hard time. And with that back marker going down the inside, that wasn't a big gap, but he took it anyway, and it's paid him dividends, because the gap at the line last time, 4/10 of a second. It's getting close between these two, but Byron Johnson just using that that intelligence out on the track that he also possesses, and using his talent and the lighter weight that he knows he has to just keep in front of Lewis Hull. This section here is where Hull really makes a mark through the tight and twisty stuff at the top of the circuit, then coming down through the left-handers and then through Zulu and onto the backstretch. That's where Byron starts to make his mark, pulls away, as you'll see in just a moment's time, using the lightness of himself and using his smaller physique just to pull away. And well, I'll be interested to see what the gap is as we come to the line this time, because visually it's a lot bigger. There is Rex Austin and Oliver Hall still battling out for 6th place. Liam Lindqvist actually has moved massively forward. He's shot up into P5 over the last lap. So Liam Lindqvist, in his last race of the season in the AC40 Pros, decided to put on a really solid performance, which is great to see.
Yeah, and it's great to see Liam Lindqvist taking part in race 3 here at the AC40 Pros. Obviously, he couldn't get any more time off school because he comes from Sweden, so he usually doesn't do these race 3s because he has to get a flight back to Sweden. But luckily this round, he's managed to get one later on so he can compete in this race 3, and then hopefully next season they can find a way to come back and do all 8 rounds. And now we just wait to see what's going to happen between this battle for this 5th position. Liam Lindqvist is still just in front, but there's Rex Austin under monumental pressure over Oliver Hull, because Oliver Hull, although he's slightly taller than Rex Austin, because Rex Austin, he does have height to his advantage, Oliver Hull he's so experienced. He was last year's rookie champion and now he's pushing on. It looks like next year he will be hopefully in the Mini GP50, so it's great seeing them moving up a class. But it is last lap time. It's last lap time for this man here, Byron Johnson. Byron Johnson has put in an amazing run. It's up to 1.2 seconds now, 7/10. He has risen that gap by over the past couple of laps. He's going to be so warm inside of his levers, inside of his helmet. He's going to be cooking because the track is so warm now and the sun is out. So now it is time for him to come around this last final half of a lap, get past the final few back markers before then he can see the checker flag. He can see the glory. And that's Oliver Hull down on the final lap. It's going to give Rex Austin that 6th place, and Rex Austin will not have to worry about Oliver Hull anymore. But everyone has had to worry about Byron Johnson all weekend. He comes round towards the final corner to see the checker flag, to take the race win after a dominant fashion. Checker flag is waving. Byron Johnson wins the race, and wins the race by 1.4 seconds across the line, with Sam Gardner coming home in 3rd place, rounding off that podium position. You can see the delight of Byron Johnson. You can see the camaraderie between Lewis Hull and Byron Johnson. They're great friends off track, and now they're celebrating. The racing is over in the AC40 Pros, and there is your podium for race 3. Byron Johnson wins with Lewis Hull in 2nd place. And Sam Gardner comes home to round off our podium, and Harrison Day just coming across the line now for that 4th, and Liam Lindqvist should round out our top 5, which hopefully we should see Liam back very soon, because he's such a talented rider. Not going his way in race 2 whenever it was in slightly tricky conditions to say the least. But there comes the final couple of riders across the line. Jenson Bishop comes across the line with Dylan Tureen and Bradley Curtis just following, drag racing to the line, but checker flag waves. And what a race it was for the AC40 Pros in lovely conditions.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff there as Byron Johnson takes another victory in the AC40 Pros. 1.4 seconds as well ahead of Lewis Hull, a pretty significant gap. Sam Gardner managed to finish in P3 with Harrison Day in P4. Liam Lindqvist managed to round up P5, a great result for him, and we thank him for all of his results this season and the action he's provided us. Rex Austin manages to finish P6 with Beth Ashby getting up to P7 at the end there. Jenson Bishop finished in P8 with Dylan Torian in P9 and Bradley Curtis rounding out that top 10. That will be it then for your AC40 Pros action. But of course, do not be afraid, don't be sad, don't be upset, any of that, because a few weeks time we'll be back in South Wales at Llandau for round 6 of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championship in the AC40 Pros. They'll all be back, all be putting on a fantastic display, and we know a lot of these young riders love Llandau. We love Llandau. It's a great circuit, a real staple of the FAB calendar, and we cannot wait to be back.
Yeah, we certainly cannot. And now you can see the riders coming in, holding there, celebrating with the fellow riders, their friends, everything. So it's great to see the camaraderie in the paddock and the friendly atmosphere that we have here at FAB.
Out ahead then, the Extreme 200s for their final race of the weekend, and it's been an action-packed weekend for this category. There's been racing left, right and centre. There's been drama left, right and centre, and there have been, well, a few incidents here and there, shall we say. But, well, it was interesting earlier on, to say the least. The weather cleared up for their race too, but it's, well, now very, very sunny. No threat of rain in sight. Lovely blue skies over the Whilton Mill Kart Club here in the Midlands at round 5. And it's actually getting a bit warm, to say the least. The humidity is certainly ramping up as well, which, well, we saw it causing a few mechanical issues for some of the other classes yesterday. Shouldn't be too much of a problem for these Extremes as they head round to the grid before they get ready for their formation lap. But it's, well, been a brilliant weekend racing so far. There's a few riders out there I think will be wanting to finish the weekend on a high. Perhaps some of the returning British Talent Cup riders who, you know, coming back in. See some of them there. Carter Brown at the bottom right of your screen. Rossi Bannon there as well. Evan Belford starting on pole position. Eddie O'Shea, who'll be out there somewhere as well. It's a really, really strong grid here in the Extreme 200 class. And, well, a lot of riders I think will be wanting this race 3 win.
Yeah, they certainly are. Now the riders head off on their warm-up lap for what is a massive grid. Evan Belford will line up on pole position alongside Bailey Stewart-Campbell. Eddie O'Shea will start 3rd place with Phillips Robbie, British Town Cup rider, alongside Sullivan Milsey. Should be starting 5th position, but is out for the weekend. Jake Smith will be starting 6th, Harvey Clark 7th, Louis Smith 8th, Rossi Banham 9th, Phil Dickens 10th. Andrea Tode will be starting 11th, Aaron Parker 12th, Ollie Walker 13th, Lucas Brown 14th, Noah Gowrie 15th, Harrison Crosby 16th, Zach Tureen 17th, Carter Brown 18th, Hayden Rose, Jordan Hopes, Jamie King, Dan Bray, Owen Thomas, Sean Whitaker and Callum Beach rounds out the top 25. Jack Andrews 26th with Kieran Kent, brother of Danny Kent, will be starting 27th, Adam Redden 28th, Callum Sewell 29th, Vinnie Jones 30th and Mercy Vince Can will be starting 31st. Thomas Dudson will be starting 32nd and Peter Horn will be starting 33rd. So massive grid that we have here for the Extreme 200s, as all 33 riders, well, all 32 riders I should say, round up for the grid for race 3 of the weekend. This will be the final race. This will be the final time you'll see pit bikes out on track here at Whilton Mill. It's been a great weekend so far. I'm sure we'll see another great race here. We're waiting for the point to the lights before we can head out racing. The point to lights have been done. Lights are on and lights are off and we are racing. Evan Belford gets an excellent start. Bailey Stewart-Campbell just behind Philip Soroviak and other British Town Cup riders, and practically a British Town Cup field. Philip Soroviak in 3rd place as well, and it's been a great start. Louis Smith, the number 66, has got a good start into 5th place now, but it's Evan Belford who leads the way, and there is Louis Smith right now on that Husqvarna, getting it round, but just behind is Harvey Clyers in 7th position right now. Rossi Banham though came from 9th position. Now he really has to get some early good laps in to try, because Noah Gowrie has got in front of him now. Noah Gowrie in around 8th position at the moment, so Rossi Banham staying in where he started. And now Rossi Banham, we've seen him win the Pit Bike 140s, but it's a different kettle of fish when it comes to the Extreme 200 class. It's such a talented field, and Rossi Banham, it looks like he's on that Pit Bike 140 in the Extreme 200 race, so once again he's going to be highly underpowered on the straights. Yeah, absolutely. Rossi Banham, we know the Extreme 200 bike that he brought this weekend with him, down on power, having a few problems with the carb, just getting the air into the engine. That's Belford down from the lead of the race. Unbelievable. That's up at Christmas corner. Evan Belford goes down, punches the ground, but it doesn't matter because he's tumbling down the order, and that leaves the 9 of Bailey Stewart-Campbell for the lead of the race. I'm not sure if there was a rider error, or there was some sort of failure, or if he clipped a curb or what, but either way, Evan Belford all the way to the back. Unbelievable stuff here early on in the Extreme 200s. We said it was going to serve you up drama, and there you are. British Talent Cup rider Evan Belford all the way to the back, and that leaves Bailey Stewart-Campbell to lead the race. Unreal. Bailey Stewart-Campbell now, number 9, really has to get the hammer down now. Just has to push on. This is his chance. This is his chance. Philip Soroviak is 2 seconds behind, so he has a pretty sizable gap already. And there's Rossi Banham staring at the back of Noah Gilroy. Noah Gilroy's Mini GP70 motorcycle currently in that 6th position, so pretty good position for the Pit Bike 140, to be honest. Very hard to ride this fast. And there's Harvey Clark as Rossi Banham dives down the inside actually of Noah Gilroy, but Noah Gilroy with the power tries to go around the outside but cannot make it work. He's so wide there. And now we head around the double left-hander before we shoot out, almost touching the curb. Rossi Banham now fully tucked in. These pit bikes of course having no front fairing and then nothing to tuck behind, so it's so hard to get aerodynamic. So every little inch, every single body part you can get tucked in is going to help you. Rossi Banham take a far wider line, get the far better drive. He has to with the lack of power, as Harvey Claridge has now got quite a sizable gap towards Rossi Banham behind in front of him. So Rossi Banham, he doesn't have to defend, it's all about attacking now. As Bailey Stewart-Campbell sits the fastest lap of the race with a 50.8, and now it looks like Evan Belford has made it up already to 12th position, and Rossi Banham is now trying his hardest to get past.
Yeah, Andrea today fighting Rossi Banham there for P4, but Bailey Stewart-Campbell up the front. That is the opportunity that they needed, and they've gone. Philip Soroviak, who you're seeing in P2, looks to be in an absolute no man's land. He's 4 seconds ahead of Louis Smith in P3, 3 seconds behind Bailey Stewart-Campbell in P1. So Philip Soroviak out there, the championship leader in this Extreme 200 class, just out there, a bit of an unscheduled test session it would seem, but with a medal coming at the end of it. There is race leader Bailey Stewart-Campbell, who's doing a phenomenal job out there and doing a brilliant job. It's been a while since Bailey Stewart-Campbell has been on the top step here at FAB-Racing, off the top of my head, especially in the Extreme 200, but doing a fantastic job out there so far, and really just laying down the gauntlet. And unless anything goes wrong, even though there's 8 laps to go, I think it's safe to say they've already got one hand on this entire race. It's a brilliant performance already. You can see with the clear visor, just sheer commitment, sheer focus from Stewart-Campbell, getting super low in the corners, bike jostling over the bumps under the acceleration, just shifting left and right and up and down. It's so hard to control on the absolute limit, but that is what we're seeing, control on the absolute limit. Brilliant stuff from Bailey Stewart-Campbell. Philip Soroviak maintaining P2, further back as well Louis Smith. Rossi Banham out through into P4 and closing in ever so slightly on Louis Smith. So Rossi Banham potentially with a podium on his hands to end off what has been a fantastic weekend for the pit bikes. Not so much a fantastic weekend in the Extremes. I'm sure he'd love a good result to finish off. And that's Evan Belford. Evan Belford's just moved up to P6. Unbelievable. Where did that come from? Evan Belford was at the back a few laps ago. He's back into 6th place.
Evan Belford putting down the gauntlet, trying everything and then trying a bit more. Evan Belford, he's looked so strong all weekend. And Louis Smith in that 3rd place, he's dropped off slightly because of a massive moment. He saved that high side coming out of turn 2, and you just seen the bike squirming about. We managed to keep on to it in the number 66 Husqvarna, but there is actually another Smith. That's Jake Smith that you just seen there with his hands up. Jake Smith looked like a retirement, but Evan Belford, he's the comeback kid right now. He crosses the line. You can see Rossi Banham, he's in 5th position already, which is so great to see from such far way back. But now just behind him is Noah Gilroy right now, trying to get past Andrea Tadea, and now battles all the way down the field. And it's what we love to see in this class. It's such a different variety of motorcycles, and yet it produces this type of racing. It's wild racing, and right now Evan Belford, he's having a wild ride on this bike. You can see just the pure commitment, how hard he's having to push it, how hard he's having to try, how hard he's having to rely on those tyres to gripping and sticking to the tracks. You can see front wheel rise in there, right on the white line. They use all the track, sometimes even then sub. We see Rossi Banham multiple times this weekend going over that curb, and the curb is being so aggressive here. They're literally like steps. They're getting the airtime, and it's crazy stuff to see. But Noah Gilroy right now trying his best to catch up to Andrea Tadea and getting past him, as Evan Belford sets the fastest lap of the race with 50.4 this time round. So Evan Belford there getting past Rossi Banham like it's light work, like it's nothing. And now Rossi Banham, he's going to try fight back. Although he's not on the power bike, it's Rossi Banham, he's going to try.
Well, he's certainly going to try, but I don't think he's going to succeed, because Evan Belford has just sliced his way through this Extreme 200s field up into P4, and there's still 5 laps left to go. There's got a bit of a gap up to from Louis Smith. It's 8.5 seconds. I think it's safe to say he'll get Louis Smith. Filip Sorowiak might be a step too far, but well, we'll have to wait and see what Belford's got in his locker, because this is a brilliant performance from the pole man who's been slicing his way through the pack. And of course, Rossi Banham, you've got to feel for him on that pit bike 140 in this 200 class. Evan Belford, fastest lap there, a 50.353, ridiculously fast. Not quite a lap record pace just yet, but he is pushing like a madman. And again, just look at the bike heading into the corners. It's so aggressive, all loaded up on that front tyres and all just moving through the corner. He is riding that thing on the ragged edge, and this is brilliant stuff from Evan Belford. And of course, if you're watching next week, he'll be there at the Talent Cup, at the Grand Prix as well, on an international stage as Louis Smith cuts across from Evan Belford, potentially winning in front of hundreds of thousands of fans. And then there is an accident. That's Harvey Claridge, and that's a few riders involved, and that's coming out of Ashby Hairpin. So I'm not sure what's happened, but coming out of Ashby, there's been some sort of coming together, and that's 3 riders involved. And that is a big shame, and that, I believe, is Evan Belford, and that I see is Evan Belford up onto the podium.
Yeah, it looks like Harvey Claridge, Zach Tureen, and maybe even what looked like to be Lucas Brown, yeah. So 3 riders down there, quite a big incident, but they're all up on their feet and they're all looking to rejoin this race. And one man who has rejoined this race and rejoined it in fashion was Evan Belford. 3rd position right now in front of Louis Smith, and now he's just on the charge. 2 laps to go. It's quite a sizable gap between himself and Filip Sorowiak, but right now he's doing 51.2 is Evan Belford, and that's with traffic and with having to battle bikes. Now he sits at 50.3, so now 1.1 seconds faster than Filip Sorowiak in front of him, but sadly that gap 4.9 seconds, 2 laps to go. It's near impossible unless Filip Sorowiak makes some kind of problem or makes some kind of mistake.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because I think Sorowiak has made an error somewhere, because he was 3 or 4 seconds off of Stuart Campbell. Now he's 10 seconds. He's dropped back 6 seconds, and that's given Belford that gap. If Sorowiak makes another mistake or comes up against a bad batch of traffic, Belford could be within a shot for 2nd place here right at the end of the race, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, jumping that curb, coming through Zulu, the right-hander onto the back straight. And Belford, it's been a brilliant performance as we start the final lap of the race. Sorowiak last lap, not the best. That lap wasn't the best either. Is Belford any closer this time? Oh my word, that is a 50 dead. That was 1.1 seconds quicker, but it's 3.8 seconds the gap. Is it enough? I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter for this man, Bailey Stewart Campbell, who has led from lights to almost the flag. It has been a brilliant performance to cap off a brilliant weekend. And Bailey Stewart Campbell, Belford went down, he took the lead, and he has not looked back. The young rider has been so impressive. And as he rounds the final few corners to cap off what has been a brilliant weekend, it will be Bailey Stewart Campbell who takes victory in race 3 of the Extreme 200s with a brilliant performance to win by over 10 seconds, I believe the gap will be. Some lap traffic comes through. Where is Filip Sorowiak? There is Filip Sorowiak. The gap 11.1. Bailey Stewart Campbell with a phenomenal ride there. Evan Belford, give him a few more laps and I think he would have been in 2nd, but he'll have to settle for 3rd. It's still a podium. What a comeback that was from Evan Belford. Take a bow. Louis Smith holding on to 4th place. Rossi Banham in 5th as well. That's a good result, bearing in mind the problems he's having with his machinery. But Bailey Stewart Campbell, what a ride. But you've got to give it to Evan Belford there.
You certainly do, and Bailey Stewart Campbell to that race win as Carter Brown comes across the line now, but it's Bailey Stewart Campbell who wins this race by 11.1 seconds over Filip Sorowiak. Evan Belford coming home in that 3rd position with Louis Smith in 4th. Rossi Banham on his pit by 140 gets that 5th position, that top 5. Andrea Tadea finishes 6th. Noah Gilroy on that Mini GP7A finishes 7th position. Hayden Rose was finishing 8th, and Carter Brown coming home in 9th, and Harrison Crosby rounds out our top 10 as young riders are of course celebrating with the comeback kid, with Evan Belford. It was a great ride all the way through. It was a great ride from Filip Sorowiak as well. He dropped off at the end, but highly entertaining race, and of course that is race 3 for them. But come back again a couple weeks time if you want to watch the Extreme 200s at Clandal in Wales, the 19th and the 20th and 21st of August. We will be back for round 6, but we still have more action to come today. We still have plenty of races to come.
Yeah, absolutely. So we just have to wait and see what's going to happen in a few weeks' time. But as you said, in a few weeks' time, make sure that you're watching along. So here we are then, race 3 for the Mini GP 50s. And as we get ready, the riders waiting in the dummy grid. And, well, it's all looking a bit quiet out there, a bit peaceful. Usually at this point, they're all ready, raring to go, sat on the pit exit, waiting for the green light. But they're all seemingly quite happy just to wait there. Just, all pretty chill. It's been a very exciting weekend of Mini GP 50 action. There's been a weekend of Mini GP 50 action dominated by that number 7 in the middle of your screen, Luke Fitchett. 2 from 2, including an absolutely dominant performance in the wet in race 2. But now it's nice and sunny again. What can riders like Marco Holt do? What can Arch O'Brien do? Can he finally sort out his starts? We'll have to wait and see. But Luke Fitchett, he has been the one to beat so far.
Yeah, it certainly has. Luke Fitchett has won 2 out of 2 races so far this weekend. Can he make it a triple? We're going to have to wait and find out. He's sitting there revving his bike, warming it up, getting it to the correct temperature before we can get underway in this race. Frankie Watson getting a final couple of words. Of course, Frankie Watson crashing out of race 2 earlier on. And with that new black fairing, which as I mentioned earlier, he does have some dragon eyes on the front of the fair, making it look more aggressive to his rivals. But it's been a very exciting championship so far, Ross. I think you can agree with that.
Oh, I absolutely can. I mean, it's been a Marco Holt, the rider to beat, 2 clean sweeps so far. Luke Fitchett, the only other rider to win a race so far. And, well, he wants his 2nd sweep of the season here. It was 17 points coming into it this weekend. I think Fitchett will be taking the lead if he finishes ahead of Holt in this one. Important to note, Arch O'Brien in 3rd place hasn't actually picked up a single win yet. The young Vision Track hotshot, who's been, so touted for greatness and, a double champion on the mini motos last season, not actually picking up a race win. He's just can't quite get the hang of starts on a geared bike yet, I don't think. We were talking about it earlier. I thought he actually just had a problem with the bike and a clutch. He just looked and went, no, I'm just terrible at starts. And I was like, you know what, at least you're mature enough to admit it. But he's just, I hope he gets on top of it, because, I'd love to see Archie getting onto that top step. I think if you get Arch O'Brien on that top step of the podium, I think it's going to open the floodgates and he'll be right up there every single time.
Yeah, it certainly seems like it. He certainly has the pace, just needs to work on his starts a little bit more. This morning his start did look pretty good, and in warm-up this morning in his practice start it looked pretty good, but it's just that pressure, that added pressure that you have sitting on the grid, trying to find the biting point and then dragging out the clutch. You have to drag them out for such a long time on these 2-stroke motors. But Finlay Paul Hill there, a crash earlier on in the LC40 Elites. He was looking strong there. He's looking pretty strong here today. But Luke Fitchett is looking strong and looking like he's wanting to try and make the triple as we wait for the final couple of riders to make their way to the grid before we head out on the second lap.
Absolutely. A few riders coming in. And, well, it's been a brilliant weekend for Luke Fitchett so far. A strong win, a dominant win. Can he make it a 3rd in race 3? He starts from the pole position. Arch O'Brien starts alongside him. Can he get on top of his starts this time? Marco Holt, championship leader and reigning vice champion. He starts P3. He's been having some good times out there in the 70s. Took over in race 2 earlier on. Bill Harris, he starts P4 with Finlay Polehill, as you mentioned, starting P5. Frankie Watson is P6. Harley Baker is P7. It's Bailey Lawrence rounding out the grid. But it's going to be all eyes, I think, on those front 3, on Fitchett and on Arch O'Brien and on Marco Holt. Of course, Marco Holt has been enjoying massive success in the 70s this year, enjoying massive success this weekend in the 70s. 50s haven't quite gone his way so far, unfortunately. Can he finally crack it? Can he finally get onto the top step in this 50s category?
Yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see what is going to happen. Finlay Paul Hill makes his way towards the grid in that Tech-free KTM inspired livery, but Marco Holt coming around, his name obviously being inspired by Marco Simoncelli. His number in the 70s also being inspired by it, so strap yourself in. This is going to be some drama. This is race 3 of the Mini GP 50s. This is some of these guys' last races of the weekend. Of course, Marco Holt and Luke Fitchett will be out again in the 70s, but this is the last chance to prove themselves in the Mini GP 50s, and we wait for the point of the lights to be done, and we wait for the lights to turn on. Lights are on and lights are off, and Luke Fitchett straight away has got an excellent start, and Marco Holt is up in towards second position already, and Frankie Watson manages to get past Finlay Paulhill, but now Luke Fitchett straight away is under pressure from Marco Holt and Archie O'Brien, and Archie O'Brien is trying to dive down the inside of Marco and has managed to make it work. He's managed to make it through. He's got a better start this time round and is already fighting for first position after just a couple of corners. It's exactly what he wanted. As Harley Baker now is trying to fight anyway past Finlay Paulhill, but up front it's Luke Fitchett. This is not a strange sight to see here at Whilton Mill. Luke Fitchett has been strong all weekend, and now Archie O'Brien's wanting to break his win streak, as Finlay Paulhill is now having to think about starting having to defend from Harley Baker, and now the Spider-Man helmet is chasing him. The Spider-Man helmet is trying as hard as he can, but just behind them, Marco Holt Minion helmet, so distinct and so easy to tell out. And Bill Harris actually has been quite a respectful start in that 4th position, and he will just be wanting this battle to unfold and drag them closer to each other.
Absolutely. Flat Cap Fitchett leads onto lap 2, but Archie O'Brien is giving him chase. Marco Holt just getting shoved out of the way there by O'Brien through Christmas corner on lap 1. Very, very smart move by the young rider, who, again, as I mentioned, yet to win a race this season. Maybe this could be the one. But can Flat Cap Fitchett hold on? But Archie is such a mercurial talent. He's so fun, and that is really, really wide from Luke Fitchett, and that's going to cost him some time doing some motocross for fun, it seems. That's not really what you want to be doing, and that has allowed Archie O'Brien to massively close the gap, and now he is right on his tail, coming through the boot, and being right on his tail, he can follow his lines. You can see where Luke has been so fast all weekend, his braking is accelerating, and now he can learn where he's doing, learn where he's stronger than Luke, and then he can go on the attack there. He's a very, very smart rider, well smart beyond his years is Archie O'Brien, and I'm sure that he's going to be looking and smelling for an attack. He's sure he can just see the gaps appearing in his mind. He just needs to make them appear out on the track as well, but it is still Fitchett holding on to the lead. Fitchett and O'Brien starting to break from the rest of the pack. Archie was fastest on that last lap, a 52.5. Luke Fitchett a 52.7, but bear in mind he did run a little bit off the road, taking a bit too much curb there as well through the left-hander. He's almost pushing a bit too hard. I can tell he's just almost overriding a little bit, just giving it a bit too much. I think he's almost a bit scared of Archie O'Brien as he glances back. All he can see, as you said, Lewis, is that Spider-Man helmet. That's got to be quite an intimidating sight to see.
Yeah, it certainly must be. It must be so intimidating to see that gap coming down, and just this time around it's 20,000ths of a second that the gap went down by. Luke Fitchett and Archie O'Brien are practically doing the same lap times. There's nothing in between them. They're on the knife edge right now. 8 laps to go in this race. It's such a short race around Whilton Mill. It's such a fast track. It's such a bumpy track. It's such a tricky track. You've seen Luke Fitchett actually grass tracking last time. He was on the grass just coming towards his next corner in between the two left-handers. He's come around now. Will he do the same? He'll not want to, and he gets right out to the white line. It's such a close margin, and now Archie O'Brien, you can just see he's pushing on as we start to edge away from Marco Holt. Marco Holt 4 seconds back, so it's an unusual sight, as there is Frankie Watson and Finlay Paulhill having the battle right now for 5th position. So Finlay Paulhill is trying to catch that dragon-inspired Fairends. It's such an aggressive look that Frankie Watson's went for, as Luke Fitchett sits the fastest lap of the race at 52 flat, as Finlay Paulhill tries to make a move but backs out because Frankie Watson slammed the door in his face. Frankie Watson, he's trying his best. Luke Fitchett defending and pressuring right now, as up front Luke Fitchett is still defending from Archie O'Brien, because up front the battle's going to be raging on. It's going to be raging on for the whole race. Is actually I believe that may be a new lap record, because going into this round it was a 52.9 lap record. Now it's a 52 flat.
Well, yeah, Luke Fitchett broke the lap record on yesterday. I think he has just broken it again by a few tenths per second. So another lap record there for Luke Fitchett at 52.074. But Arch O'Brien hot on his tail and is not far off him. He was only 2 tenths down on that last lap. And the young man is giving Luke a hard run for his own. And there goes Arch O'Brien into the 51s. A 51.976 faster than that time. The first time we have ever seen a Mini GP50 in the 51s here at Whilton Mill. Phenomenal stuff from these two at the front. And there goes Finley Polhill through. I was going to say earlier while we were still watching this action that something changed within Finley Polhill halfway through race 2. Something the beast just awoke within him. He's back to his brilliant best. Again, he's still recovering from the injury, but suddenly it's like he's back and he's back at his best. And Finley Polhill moving up to 5th place there. Brilliant stuff. But Arch O'Brien, the young mercurial talent, is giving it his absolute best, as well as giving Luke Flatcap Fitchett a real run for his money here. He's got 6 laps to go. He's being smart about this. He's not pushing too hard. He's just sitting there patiently waiting for the gap to appear. He's putting the pressure on Fitchett and waiting for him to make a mistake, waiting for him to go scramble tracking again. Just let him run wide, let him run off, and the position will be mine. If it gets into crunch time, then yes, he can try and force the move through, but there's no reason to yet. It's still 5 laps left to go. Arch O'Brien is sitting very, very comfortably.
Yeah, certainly, as his lap times say it as well. Both, and once again, he was faster than Luke Fitchett, just faster. 4 thousandths of a second faster last time around. There's nothing between the lap times, and Archie O'Brien is just slowly piling on the pressure, starting to close the gap and just getting close enough so that Luke Fitchett can hear his engine, hear his motor, hear that he's behind him, and try and just force him into making the mistake, as Frankie Watson is now having to defend from Harley Baker. Of course, Harley Baker's brother Preston is also racing in the mini moto class and had quite a up and down weekend, to say the least, but now Harley Baker is coming around currently in 7th position, fighting and wanting to get into that 6th place. But here we have it, 4 laps to go in this race. Finley Polhill has just edged away from these two and started just to bridge a slight gap, and now Frankie Watson's really having just to claw back anything he can, just try and chase him, try and just not give Harley Baker any kind of room to make a move, because if he does, it's so hard to be going back. This track is so tight, it's so fast, the lines merge into one, so it makes it so hard to make an overtake as we head over the line under the clouds. And Luke Fitchett now up front, half a tenth that he's leading by, and he's just edging away ever so slightly the last time round, 3 tenths of a second faster than Archie O'Brien behind him. Now Archie O'Brien, he's going to have to just remain focused and stay calm, as Harley Baker now is trying his best. And there's Marco Holt in no man's land, currently in 3rd place, 13.5 seconds back from Archie O'Brien. This is something that we're not usually used to seeing with Marco Holt. We used to see Marco up front with Archie O'Brien and with Luke Fitchett fighting for a race win.
Well, it seems Marco Holt, I think he's determined to be dominant in the 70s this weekend. He's decided to let the 50s sit to the side, because this weekend Luke Fitchett has taken his place and Archie O'Brien doing what Archie O'Brien does and piling on the pressure. But yeah, Marco Holt 16 seconds back now as the gap. And he's just properly off the pace, isn't he? I mean, he's just not being his normal self. And I either wonder if he's just backing off, maybe saving his energy for that 70s race later on, or if he's maybe got a slight problem with the bike, with the engine. I don't know, we'll have to wait out and see later on. We're going to have 2 laps to go at the line this time by Lewis, and it's still Luke Fitchett holding on by a thread.
Yeah, just holding on by a thread. We come across the line, then we'll wait to see what the lap times are going to be, and this time round Luke Fitchett was just slightly slower than Archie O'Brien, so it's just a game of chess at the moment. 3 tenths of a second is now the gap though, so the gap significantly came down. But Luke Fitchett, you can just see he's so fast. He's so good at defending. Even though Archie O'Brien's slowly closing this gap, when he does get there, it's going to be so difficult to get past. Archie O'Brien, he is a young talent. He is a young and up-and-coming superstar from the UK. So is Luke Fitchett. And Luke Fitchett, he's defended for rounds and rounds now. We've seen it when we've commented on it each round, just how good he is at defending, how good he is at holding off the person behind him. But now we just have this final lap to go when we cross the line next time round. There's a yellow flag out, Marshall's running, so maybe someone's came off, but now Luke Fitchett comes out, and there's Harley Baker off going on to the final lap. But the final lap The final lap flag is out, and now we're waiting. The sun is out for the final race of the day.
It's
and
wide.
Archie O'Brien is so wide. That was almost saying that Luke Fitchett has now got the race in his hands. But Archie O'Brien, he's going to try and call it back. This is Archie O'Brien. This is what he does. You can see the commitment that he has now. What is going to happen? Luke Fitchett taking a far more defensive line compared to Archie O'Brien. Can Archie O'Brien get the drive, get the speed, and get the momentum onto this next short straight? We're halfway around the last lap. Can Archie O'Brien force Luke Fitchett into mistake? Or can Luke Fitchett hold on to the pressure, hold on to this race win to make it outer free race wins in the Mini GP 50 class this weekend? He has one more corner to get right, and he does. He clips the apex, he goes out into the curb on the throttle and takes the checker flag to win outer free this weekend in the Mini GP 50 class. Archie O'Brien comes home in second place, and look at that respect from both riders. Fist bumps all around, and we wait for Marco Holt to come home in a very, very respectable third position.
Well, it wasn't meant to be for Archie O'Brien in his first win, but it was meant to be for the second sweep of the season for Flat Cap Fitchett. Luke Fitchett brings home all 3 victories here in the Mini GP50s. Archie O'Brien takes home a very respectable and well-fought second place, and Marco Holt finishes almost in no man's land in third, 24.5 seconds away from the leader. But it will be Luke Fitchett who goes home with a huge smile on his face after a dominant weekend here at Whilton Mill, and crucially the championship lead as well. Awesome stuff from the number 7. That young man has been improving, and now he is up the front, he is winning races, and he is pulling off brilliant performance. What an amazing race that we've just seen. These 2 young riders, Archie O'Brien and Luke Fitchett, take a bow, the pair of you, because you can both be so happy with that one. And of course the drama doesn't stop here in the Mini GP50s, because in a few weeks we'll be heading to Clandown for the second time this season to the South Wales Karting Centre, and these guys will be going it once again for round 6 of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championship. But for now, it's Luke Fitchett, the now championship leader.
Next up on track, we will have race 3 of the AC40 Rookies. This will be the Rookies' last race of the weekend, and the last chance to prove themselves. All weekend we've had high intensity and high drama from these rookie riders. Of course, some of them, it's been quite a challenging weekend for them. It's been quite a learning weekend for them, because we've seen it multiple rounds, and we've seen it multiple times this season. At every single round it gives them a new learning curve, and this time round they learn what it's like to race in half and half conditions. But finally we have dry, sunny conditions for these rookie riders, just like we did yesterday. Pretty dry conditions, and now it's time for them to show what they're made of and show the pace that they truly have around this Whilton Mill circuit.
Yeah, it was half and half in race 2 for about 3 laps, and it was absolute downpour, wasn't it? Just crazy scenes. Taylor Tomlinson had a tumble early on, and got caught up in what was an 8-bike accident. Everybody sliding off coming around Christmas corner, got back on, went on to win the race with an absolutely phenomenal performance. And I'm sure he'll be looking for yet another win. Sebastian Gazlowski, though, he's already got 1 win this weekend. Can he make it the first round this season where he takes 2 victories? He goes off the front row of the grid alongside Tomlinson, and Gazlowski, of course, being his closest challenger this season. But it's not all over yet, because we have to get underway for the formation lap, and then the racing's got to begin. And Tomlinson has been the better of the 2 on the starts this weekend so far. As we get going on our formations lap in a moment's time, it will be Sebastian Gazlowski on the pole position with Taylor Tomlinson alongside him. Logan Cousins starts P3 with Seth Hayward in P4. Then it's Josh Perkins 5th and Preston Baker in P6. Nicholas Dunwoody, he starts 7. Caleb Ratcliffe is 8, and then rounding out the top 10 is Matthew Jennings and Tyler Hartley. Annabelle McCarthy and Kai Hawken make up row 6, with Max Johnson 13 and Jensen Matson 14. Row 8 is Archie Hooper and Daisy Poland, and then Danny Longhurst is in P17, Mason Fedek 18, Jensen Cedras 19, and in the top 20 is Henry Brody, before Oliver Wilson, Levison Usher and Freddie Taylor round out our grid. That will be your grid for this round of the AC40 Rookies. The last time that these young riders, the first time that they get to hop onto and race a mini moto. It's the last chance they get this week, but of course they'll be back next time at Llandau in South Wales in a few weeks. Our second time visiting this season for round 6. But we've had 2 brilliant races from these young rookies so far this weekend. They all ride so well, so beyond their years, and well, I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yes, certainly, and one person who will also be looking forward to this one will, of course, be that man there. It will be Taylor Tomlinson. Taylor Tomlinson has had such a strong season so far this year. He's been getting race win after race win after race win, and now it's his time. It's his time to make it into another race win and another good result this season. He just needs to keep cool because he does have his championship leader starting on pole position, Sebastian Gieslowski. This is Sebastian's chance to get that 2 out of 3 races in one weekend. He's not done it yet so far this year. Now's a chance. We wait for the final checks to be done on the grid, final words to be done to the kids from the parents, and then we will look up to the lights and get underway for the final race of the rookies. We're telling the final people to get off the grid, and then we will get underway. Start Marshal Rob goes off the grid. All riders now look up to the lights. Lights are on and lights are off, and Sebastian Gieslowski and Taylor Thompson kicks away. But it's Taylor Thompson who will have to look at the rear end of Sebastian Gieslowski as he leads the way through the second corner. Now Taylor Tomlinson is going to have to try to find something special and try and find some kind of time up and just try and find some ground to make up, because now after a dramatic race 2 he crashed. He's still got a podium out of it as Preston Baker is in that 3rd position, in that final podium position, but it's getting chased quickly by Logan Cousins. Logan Cousins is wanted a podium position, and we've seen quite a lot of drama actually from that number 12 of Archie Hooper. Archie Hooper was in a great contention for a great result last time round in race 2, but ended up crashing out and just making some small mistakes, which means so much though in this rookie class. But there's Preston Baker now looking towards Taylor Thompson, the championship leader, wanted to get that 2nd place, maybe even a race win, but right now Sebastian Gieslowski out front after lap 1.
Yeah, Gieslowski's got a huge lead already as they come to the line for the first time. He's used this opportunity to try and bolt away from Taylor Tomlinson. And there you go. Well, the gap at the line about a second and a bit, yet 1.1 seconds there. And then Logan Cousins actually putting the pressure on Baker, and then Baker putting some pressure on Taylor Tomlinson as well. So Tomlinson actually under threat a little bit here. He was looking to have 2 wins this weekend as per his normal, if not 3. But Sebastian Gieslowski, he wants it to be the first round where he takes 2 wins himself. Of course, Gieslowski and Tomlinson, the only 2 riders who have taken multiple race wins this year. In fact, the only 2 riders who have taken race wins this year. There's Preston Baker, obviously got the podium earlier on, looked set for the race win in the pouring rain until the Taylor Tomlinson train got motoring. Further forward though, it is still Gieslowski that leads with this battle further back as Preston Baker tries to put on the pressure. And also this battle here heading into the boots, sweeping around the outside. A very nice move there to make it through. It is still Sebastian Gieslowski that leads this race, and he's extended the gap on Taylor Tomlinson to nearly 2 seconds. So Gieslowski, he's got the opportunity, and he's gone early. He is pushing hard, pushing early. He wants to leave Whilton Mill with a few wins under his belt, and he's doing a great job here to try and confirm that. But there's still 6 laps to go further back as well. This battle for places within the top 10. There's Preston Baker. Logan Cousins has got past him, so Logan Cousins moves up into the podium places, and they're just in front of them. Taylor Tomlinson, he's struggling out there, you know, Lewis. So I thought he'd be right up there with Gieslowski, but no, he's dropping back. I think he's either got a problem or something's just not right on the bike, and that's allowing Cousins and Preston Baker to put some pressure on.
Yeah, this is also the hottest it's been all weekend and all throughout the races. So maybe Taylor Thompson just not liking the slightly hotter conditions and just not suiting to it the same as Sebastian Gieslowski. Gieslowski has the fastest lap of the race and has the race lead. And there's Logan Cousins now having to defend from Preston Baker, just trying to edge that gap, just trying to get away from him, as there's just 5 laps left in this race, and now the gap for the lead is up to 2.3 seconds now. And Seth Hayward may made it up into 5th position. But shout out actually to Henry Brody in 21st right now, but he only started riding a bike actually at Christmas time, so it just proves that these rookie riders, they have so little experience, and the fact that they're already able to do things like this is just insane at just 6 years old.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, there's no way on the earth that 6-year-old me would be brave enough to do what these young riders are out there doing. They are mature and brave and quick beyond their years. You know, the pace that they display, the bravery that they display, you know, the sportsmanship that they display. You know, you look and think there's no way that you're 6 years old. It's just unbelievable stuff as they're going past some lap traffic here. And, you know, it is great. The FAB-Racing Rookies Cup is honestly one of my favourite events of the weekend.
Oh! Down and taking out Preston Baker with them. Both up on their feet straight away though, but Logan Cousins just tried to dive up the inside, but both lines merged into one, sending them both down the road, and it was almost a T-bone. Preston Baker managing to remount as well. Both of them remounting, which is the main thing. They're both up on their feet and they're both okay to continue this race, which is 4 laps to go, but both of them have lost quite a lot of time.
Oh, that's a big shame there. Of course, accidents are part of motor racing. It happens. And, you know, again, part of the experience of these young riders, they're going to get involved in accidents. You know, they've got to learn how to take a knock, because you're not going to finish every motorcycle race on your 2 wheels in a strong position. As Tomlinson diving up the inside of some lap traffic there. But the gap now to Kozlowski, 3.5 seconds. Yeah, so unfortunate there, but good to see they're both back on the bikes, both going straight away almost. That is great to see. There is your race leader, Sebastian Kozlowski. He is absolutely bolted away at the front. He is 3.5 seconds ahead of Taylor at the line last time round, and heading over the bumps there, just looking in the element, super smooth, super classy, doesn't look like he's pushing too hard, and well, he seems pretty set with 3 laps left to go now to take his 2nd win of the weekend, and the first time this season that Sebastian Kozlowski will take 2 wins in a single weekend, which is a monumental achievement in a season where Taylor Tomlinson has been so and utterly ruthlessly dominant. And it's been, you know, a steep learning curve for Sebastian Kozlowski against Taylor. You know, he's obviously one of the finer riders on the grid, but Taylor's just such a talent. Getting blocked there by some of the traffic. Just don't think they saw him coming, or maybe just a bit of miscommunication about the direction he was going in. But 3 laps to go, Sebastian Kozlowski, it's 4.5 seconds ahead of Taylor Tomlinson. It's a really, really mature ride, and it's a great way to cap off a weekend so far.
Yes, certainly is. Sebastian Kozlowski just getting past Daniel Longhurst there, down 16th position, but all riders are at a completely different stage in their careers and in their confidence levels, as Sebastian Kozlowski now has a 4.7 second lead, and it's about to get even bigger as he comes round the final corner towards the line, just as we get 2 laps to go in the final race of the weekend for the AC40 Rookies. This is the time to prove yourself. The sun is out, bikes are out, and the last race of the day for the rookies is out. And now Tyler Hartley looks like he's under pressure from Logan Cousins after Logan Cousins managed to remount.
Yep, absolutely. And they're back to your leader, as he's got 1.5 tours left of this Whilton Mill circuit this weekend here at round 5 of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championship. It's been a brilliant weekend for Kozlowski. That first race just sticks in my mind. You know, what a performance there. Obviously, you know, his riding, his speed powered a little bit by his emotions. I think Hill claimed he was wiped out by Taylor Tomlinson. I think Taylor Tomlinson would say there was a bit of a mishap involving some lap traffic. But either way, storming back after getting back on the bike, just siding his way through the traffic, siding his way through the pack, and taking a dominant win after that early incident. Then race 2, unfortunately, just getting caught up in the chaos of the rain as he starts the last lap of the weekend, as indicated by that yellow flag with the black cross. Sebastian Kozlowski, a fastest lap that last time round as well to boot, 7.5 seconds to the good on Taylor Tomlinson. He can take this one nice and easy and just bring the bike home what will be his 2nd victory of the weekend, and surely 2 wins in one weekend, it is an achievement for any rider. But in a season where Tomlinson has been so utterly dominant, it will mean the world to him, and it should hopefully open the floodgates and give him a huge performance boost to know that he can beat Tomlinson in multiple races. And you know, until his incident in race 2, when he had that fall in the rain, he was looking absolutely on it in that race as well. He has loved Whilton Mill It is so evident to see. It is a bit of a Marmite track with a lot of the riders, but clearly he loves it here. He loves the bumps, he loves the speed, and he comes in to the final few corners now. It will be Sebastian Geslowski for the second time, who loves the taste of victory. Sebastian Geslowski for the second time this weekend is a race winner. He takes the win in the final race of the AC40 Rookies with a brilliant ride, a dominant ride to cap off a fantastic weekend for the young man. Taylor Tomlinson, despite his talent, can only manage second place. But look at this, the race for third still on. Seth Haywood looks set to take it. Unless anyone can do anything out of the final quarter, it will be Seth Haywood who takes the podium and completes that P3. Logan Cousins, Nicholas Dunwoody and Tyler Hartley all finishing in tow. But Sebastian Geslowski, that's been the best weekend of his young career so far. What a performance for him, what a race for him, what a weekend for him.
Yeah, it's been a perfect weekend for him, Sebastian Geslowski, although race 2 maybe didn't do what he wanted to do, but it was perfect weather at this race, and it's been perfect conditions for them to actually get a clean race in and not have any lap traffic really disturb it. It's just pure pace, and this time round Sebastian Geslowski had the pace, and he had the pace to have a 9.9 second win, and they try and fist bump each other. There we have it. Both rookies, both in their first real full season of racing, and try and just, well, looks like actually missed a pit entry there, but manages to grass track it in the pits. He'll get plenty of claps, plenty of high fives, and Taylor Tomlinson is buzzing. But Sebastian Geslowski wins by 9.9 seconds over his championship rival Taylor Tomlinson. Seth Haywood can come home in that third position after a monumental scrap between 4 or 5 riders, with Logan Cousins, Nicholas Dunwoody and Tyler Hartley not managing to get onto that podium. Josh Perkins comes home in 7th place, with Annabelle McCarthy coming home in 8th. Preston Baker, of course brother of Harlow Baker, racing in the 50s, comes home in 9th, and Archie Hooper rounds out our top 10 for race 3 in the AC40 Rookies. And what a race that was. It's exactly what we're expecting. Perfect conditions out here, and perfect conditions for these young riders.
For the final time then, Moto team, get ready to gear up and go racing for the third race of the weekend here at Whilton Mill. Round 5 of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championship. And it's been a weekend that will have, I think, it's on paper it'll be look a little bit different to how it's actually gone. Of course, Will House is going to have documented to have taken 2 overall victories as well as class victories, of course, but he didn't come easily, fighting off a former Grand Prix World Championship rider in race 1, Shane Norval, who apparently competed against, the legends of the 500cc, early 2000s championship on the world stage, and then came here to do some FAB racing, which was brilliant to see. And he did give Will Howarth a good old run for his money. But it's been a very enjoyable weekend for Motor Team Action, and a ram-packed weekend as well, because with all these Free Tech guys who have come along from the Free Tech Endurance Championship just to do this weekend of FAB here at Whilton Mill, it's been great to see them, and it's it's really good to see what such a large grid of Motor Team, what they can all accomplish.
Yeah, it certainly is, and you can see now riders just heading around towards the grid to get the sighting lap done and to get the warm-up lap underway before we can head for race 3, the last race of the weekend for these guys. It's been an enjoyable weekend for the Moto Team class, and it's been quite a great weekend for Will Howarth. Of course, he's racing in the Moto Team and in Will Howarth actually. Commentators' cars. It's been a great weekend.
Oh, that's not healthy.
But now it looks like he's trying to get some issues sorted with his bike. He's pulled off at side track right now. Bike's still running, clearly.
It's not running very healthily, is it?
It is a 2-stroke motor, so it is meant to be blue smoke. We're just waiting to see if we can get it. Maybe it's a small little jet an issue, or maybe just something not running right. But now he's pushing it off. Maybe even that gear select issue that he's been having, because the bike's still running, and now he's having to push it. But they head out on the warm-up lap. Shane Norval should have been starting in pole position, but he's not here. Will Howarth should be starting in second place, but it doesn't look like he's going to be making the start unless something happens.
On the front row as well.
No. Ian Jackson will be starting in third place, with Jason Pugh in fourth. Jack Andrews will be starting in 5th with Phil Maplebeck alongside him. Jamie King, last year's champion, will be starting in 7th. Malcolm Stein will be starting in 8th with Jack Van Eden will be starting in 9th. Sam Klaus qualified on the bike, but it should, well, if it's the same as race 2, Darren Anderson or Sam Klaus will be starting that 133 bike in 10th position. Fraser Kennard will be starting in 11th with Jamie Dess 12th, Scott Druitt 13th, Alistair Kennard will be starting 14th, Mark Pollitt will be starting 15th, Vince Bailey 16th, Philip Joyce 17th, Elliot Newton will be starting 18th position, and on the 10th row of the grid and the final grid position will be John Hosker, obviously racing in the sidecars as well. Same numbers what he uses in the sidecars, the 127. He'll be starting 19th position on the final grid position of the race. And we wait for Rob to signify race start, and nobody is on the front row as Will Howarth will have to push his bike back all the way to the pit entry as we wait for the lights to go on. Lights are on and lights are off, and there's Ian Jackson on the Suzuki who leads the way, but it's Jason Pugh who gets the better of him, leading the way into turn 2 now, down the straight. Jason Pugh, it's a completely open-ended race now, no one knows who is going to be able to have the pace for this. Jason Pugh now leads the way in the number 8 bike, battles all the way down the field. Of course, Jamie King further back down the field, trying to make a possession, trying to catch up with Jack Andrews. Jack Andrews crashing last race, not what you want to happen whenever you're fighting for a championship, fighting for valuable possessions. Scott Druitt having the battle further back as Darren Anderson goes round the outside Ian Jackson, but cannot make it work, almost onto the grass there as Darren Anderson tries to get a move hooked up to try and catch up to Ian Jackson on that 270 Suzuki, as he now dives down the inside and looks towards diving down the inside of Jason Pugh, but he was too far back. Jason Pugh on the number 8 Honda has it all lined up as now Ian Jackson fights back. Ian Jackson though is going to get his front end cut off, and I do not think he's going to be able to make the move as now we head down towards first corner, and now it's Darren Anderson who leads the way, and it's Ian Jackson just couldn't make it through, and Jason Pugh is down into that second position. So Darren Anderson made that move going into turn 1 it seems, and now leads the way in the 133.
Ian Jackson's racing with his visor open. He's out for a casual Sunday ride, isn't he? Look at that, that's unbelievable. Hopefully nothing flicks up and smacks him in the face, but he's putting on a good performance here and challenging for overtakes on Darren Anderson, but just unable to, or Jason Pugh rather, but just unable to make the gap appear for the moment. Darren Anderson starting to bolt away just a little bit, but look at that, Ian Jackson, visor open, just chilling, enjoying the Sunday sun here at Whilton Mill and having some racing fun. As you do, sides to the inside, that'll be a move to get it done. Oh, brilliant from Ian Jackson up the inside of Jason Pugh into the final corner at Pitts Bend. Oh, that was superb. Just shoved the bike up the inside and sent it. Brilliant stuff. Now he's put the visor down. He's got the move he wanted to go down. Now it's onto the business end. Let's chase down Darren Anderson, he says. Phil Maplebeck as well on the back of Jason Pugh, who's similarly only been able to go backwards over the first few laps. Hopefully he's able to get himself grounded a bit more and focus on attack instead of defence. Further back as well, Jack Andrews is still trying. Jacques Van Eden as well. Jay King losing a few places early on. That's a shame for Jamie King, who's not been having the best luck here at FAB-Racing recently in this or in the pit bike 140s. Hopefully his luck changes for the better sometime soon, but it will be Darren Anderson leading this race from Ian Jackson, pulling off perhaps the move of the weekend there. Getting into P2, Jason Pugh for the time being holds on to P3 with 9 laps left to run. There further on as well, that's Malcolm Stein on the 111, chasing down that pack. Jamie King just in front of him, and Ian Jackson as well, just giving his visor a bit of a rub, just making sure it's down. He must have forgot it was open or something, clearly, but he's out there having a great ride and clearly having a great time as well.
Yeah, Ian Jackson now just got a decent sized gap over Jason Pugh, and Jason Pugh is now under attack over Phil Maplebeck, but Phil Maplebeck looks like he's ready to race and looks like he was ready on the number 19 to make a move and try and get past that number 8 motorcycle. But also on the left hand side of your screen, I mentioned Madison Martlew is in this race but having a transponder issue at the moment, so she's in 16th position at the moment on that yellow and blue Aprilia, one of the few Aprilias that we we have here racing, but there is the battle, and there is the battle, and there is the move that Phil Maplebeck is trying to make heading into the final turn, but he just can't make it work because it's such a hard corner to make a pass, because Jason Pugh, it's so easy for him just to shut the door and close off the line completely and make the move pretty much impossible. Just 8 laps to go, and there's a bike retiring. That is the number 65 of Mark Pollitt, retiring and returning towards the pit lane. But there is the battle, and there he is. He's got past him, Phil Maplebeck, into that podium position, into that 3rd place. As now Jason Pugh, what can he do? Can he fight back?
We'll have to wait and see. Of course, it's important to remember, looking at the front, that technically both Darren Anderson and Ian Jackson are leading this race. Darren Anderson obviously competing in the Moto Team Open class, Ian Jackson competing in the Moto Team Standard class. It's very confusing if you're just joining us to wrap your head around 2 different classes here within Moto Team, and then the overall positions as well. The riders, while on track, don't really care for the actual classes. They just want the overall positions, because that's where the fun is overtaken. So you'll often see battles for the overall lead, but as Maplebeck does get through eventually, and there he goes into P3, Anderson and Jackson are both leading the race in their respective categories. It's just Darren Anderson leading overall at the moment with 7 laps to go. Jamie King still holding on to P7 as well, further back in the pack. There's Jack Andrews trying to put up a defence. He's had a pretty torrid day today. He's had a few issues here and there in multiple classes. Jason Pugh confirmed falling back from P3 to P4. Jack Andrews now under big pressure from Jacques Van Eden. Again, a big grid of Moto Team riders here today. A lot of the riders from the Free Tech Endurance Championship making the journey here to Whilton Mill, joining in some FAB-Racing action here at Moto Team, and it's just great to see. Moto Team is usually one of the less populated categories on the grid, which is a shame, because the entire reason of Moto Team, as there we go, trying to get around lap traffic and goes the wrong way, and Jack Andrews, bad luck there. Jacques Van Eden slides through to P5. As I was saying though, Moto Team, it exists as to be cheap as possible. The entire reason behind this category is you buy a bike for the road, you slap a race fairing on it, you slap a number and a transponder on it, and you can go and do racing on a motorbike. It's cheap and it is brilliant action, and it's a real shame to see that it's often one of the smaller grid sizes, but here we've got a lot of riders showing up, and we've had some brilliant action all weekend long. And it's currently Darren Anderson leading the way for yet another victory, and Jack Andrews, he'll be a bit annoyed with himself for that one. I think just going the wrong way around the lap traffic. I think he just misread it. The traffic obviously saw him coming and tried to dive out of the way, but at that point, Jack Andrews, he was on the outside too little too late, lost the position.
Yeah, obviously we use no blue flags here at FAB. It's just up to the riders to safely find a way around the lap traffic. And there is your race leader. 1.9 seconds to the line last time round. 5 laps to go in this race. Darren Anderson still leads the way over that Suzuki of Ian Jackson, as Jason Pugh makes it back up into that 3rd place, dropping Phil Maplebeck down to 4th again, but battles all the way down the field. It's what's so great about having 16 bikes in this race, is just to have battles all the way down the field, have abilities of all different levels, and bike performances of all different levels. Of course, we're missing Will Howard. Let's not forget that. The number 96, we're expecting to see a proper duel, but here is the battle for 3rd and 4th. Here's the battle for 3rd. Jason Pugh is still having to defend for Phil Maplebeck right now on the number 8 bike, and Phil Maplebeck are making a few adjustments to his helmet, maybe opening up a vent or just trying to let a bit of air inside his visor, because it's so sunny out there. It's so humid. It's been humid all weekend, even whenever it was raining. It's been so hot, and there is Phil Maplebeck trying to line up a move, trying to get into that slipstream as he crosses the line. 4 laps to go. Darren Anderson sets the fastest lap of the race with 56.5, and that was an incredible lap time from him, but still quite a bit off the lap record around this track. As 4 laps go in this race, the battle's still raging on for the final podium position.
Yep, absolutely, and here you go, Pugh on the defensive from Maplebeck, just trying desperately to keep the number 19 machine behind him as they head through the middle section, through the Ashby hairpin. Very tricky piece of racetrack through there, but it's been a strong battle so far. Maplebeck looks like he's got the pace. I think Pugh's just been struggling. I'm not sure if it's tyre temperature maybe, or pressure. He's just doesn't seem quite gelled. Just hasn't quite settled in as much as the other riders. So that's a shame to see, and hopefully they'll be able to sort that out, of course. But yeah, it's currently Jason Pugh holding on to that P3 position with 3 laps to go, but Mappelbeck is charging. He wants that 3rd place podium overall. Jason Pugh, he's got the grunt down the straight, so it's just when you come to that tight and twisty section, he just can't quite get it settled, just can't quite carry enough speed, especially through the corner exits, it would seem, just struggling to get the throttle on. Although this time, he's got a much bigger gap, so I wonder if Mappelbeck's maybe made a mistake somewhere. Was yeah, just dropping back a bit. What he could be trying to do is just try and set himself up for a move. Just drop back, regain your composure, set your sights, and then you go back in again. It's a perfectly legitimate racing technique, just to drop back just a couple of tenths away, drop a few meters back, just to regain yourself so you can set yourself up for attack. And there we go, the leaders coming on. We should have 2 laps to go this time by, with Darren Anderson set to take the overall victory on that 1-3 bike. Will Howarth isn't able to make it a hat-trick following a mechanical failure, it would appear. And well, it'll be last lap flag next time for Darren Anderson. Of course, Ian Jackson, he will technically be taking victory in his category. Both of those two racing in the different classes, the open and standard. But overall, Darren Anderson, it'll be, it'll be vital for him to secure that overall victory. I think it's a bit more important to get an overall victory, I think. And obviously, it's all about cheap racing here in Motor Team. Obviously, Lewis, you're a racer yourself up in Scotland. And when you finish on the bike, it's always great to finish in a great position, and it must be a very weird sensation for Jackson to know that he's finishing 2nd overall, yet he still technically won the race.
Yeah, it's pretty weird racing a multi-class race as the last lap flag is out, but yeah, it's just trying to understand that. And sometimes if you're on the bike, you cannot work out the math, you cannot work out who's in front of you and what class they're in, so you just go all out and try your best and just try and get the best position possible. But obviously Darren Anderson, actually, in race 1, he was not on the bike was here, but it was in the hands of Sam Klaus, and Sam Klaus managed to get the bike to a very, very respectable 7th position, because in the Motor Team class you can have multiple riders for one bike across the season. But now Darren Anderson has the bike back in his hands, and he has the bike back in that 1st place. We've been so used to seeing it, but his sparring partner Will Howarth is not here. He's had to deal with tricky conditions, wet and the dry, because it's so humid when you're racing these hot, humid conditions. It's so easy to lose a bit of focus, get a bit of sweat in your eye and struggle to keep focus. But now he comes around the final corner. It's not Sam Klaus on the bike, but it'll be Lee Klaus waving the flag to take the race when Darren Anderson wins this race and wins it in style. Race 3 of the Motor Team class goes to Darren Anderson's way, and Ian Jackson should take it home, and he has in 2nd place, with Jason Pugh in 3rd. If he can just hold off Jan Van Eden, and he has. And actually the number 19 has fallen back on Phil Mappelbeck. He's dropped off and retired somewhere along the circuit. So the number 5 there coming for your picture, Alistair Kennard, trying just to keep that top 10 position, get that checkered flag, get the final race of the weekend for these guys, get in their pocket, take checkered flag, and Jamie Diss now comes across the line to take 10th position. But what a race that was from the Motor Team, and well, that's the Motor Team finish until Clandam. Now, such a shame, because that was such a good race.
Absolutely brilliant stuff then from the Moto Team. Just a reminder, Darren Anderson, your victor here today with Ian Jackson, technically P1 but in P2. Jason Pugh P3, Jacques Van Eden P4, Jack Andrews in P5, Jamie King, reigning champion, who managed to get it into P6. There's Fraser Kennard, Malcolm Steiner, Alistair Kennard and Jamie Diss rounding out your top 10 there. That'll be it then for the Moto Team. As you said, Lewis, still plenty more racing action to come today, but not from these guys. They can pack up and go on off home. A few high fives from the on-looking crowd. But that was a very enjoyable race. Shame for Will Howarth, of course. Had his hat-trick opportunity robbed before he could even take the red lights at the start. But that's racing sometimes, that's motorsport. It doesn't always go your way. And, well, I'm sure he'll be okay as the remaining riders get a few high fives there. These guys, they'll be back in a few weeks' time for Clandau.
Hello and welcome. If you're just joining us, you join us in time for race 3 of the LC40 Elites. and it's been a great day of racing so far. So once live coverage is done today, don't be afraid to watch back on replay and watch back everything you've missed from today and from yesterday. It's been mixed conditions all weekend, and for race 3 today it's nice and sunny, but do not expect any less drama. This is the LC40 Elites. There is Liam Lindquist in his final FAB race of the season. He's done his final AC40 Pro race. He's done his final AC40 Pro race, but now this is final race of the weekend, the LC40 Elites. And now it is time to head round to the grid before we can head out for our warm-up lap and get underway. Obviously on the second lap we just do half a lap, we go in for the cut-in and get it done. But heading into this round, it was Austin Johnson who led the way by 54 points over his brother Byron. Byron, though, is on that air-cooled motorcycle, and well, he's had a great season so far, has Byron. For a slower bike, he's had to make it up through the corners. He's managed to even get 2 race wins, Byron Johnson, on an air-cooled bike so far this season. So it's so impressive from such a youngster.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously Austin has been the class of the field this year and has continued to show us why this weekend he's been the dominant force here at Whilton Mill. But Byron has been again, I guess like brother, I suppose. He's been brilliant performances. That looks like Oliver Hall getting wheeled off the grid there to the right hand side. So problems maybe for Oliver Hall on that bike as we get going on the formation lap. So very, very strange there indeed as we get going. But yeah, that's very strange, but oh well, that's how life is, unfortunately, as we get going. But yeah, Austin Johnson, he's been the class of the field this weekend, but he's had some stiff competition, got the word in the end. Finley Polehill on his return to FAB Racing following his injury has been absolutely phenomenal on everything he's touched weekend. He's clearly loving this track. Byron as well, as we're giving it a good old go, even though this is the track that's probably the most punishing for an air-cooled bike. This is the fastest track we go to on the calendar. It's the most traditional kind of circuit that you'd understand. It goes fast, it goes quick, it goes rapid. Well, we'll have to wait and see what is going to happen as we stand around and we wait. Finishing off the formation lap, it will be Austin Johnson going off of the pole position. I believe it should be Finley Polehill going off on the off of the grid. As we wait now, the riders all bringing it in and waiting. Of course, you can see Rob, the red flag marshal, just waiting at the end. Rob, one of our race directors here at FAB-Racing, one of the organising. It's time to get ready for the final race for these junior mini moto riders. They've had a long weekend. It's very warm now, and the tensions are even higher than the temperature. But it's time to go racing for one final time for these junior mini moto riders. We look to the light as they go out and we're underway. It's a brilliant start from Finley Polehill from the outside. He goes into the lead and Sam Gardner slides into second there. So Austin Johnson, not the start he would have wanted. He's now getting the drive coming out of the second corner of Crooks. But it will be Finley Polehill who leads the way on lap 1, and both of the Johnson brothers through Gardner now. So it's now Austin second, Byron third. Of course, remember, Austin on that faster liquid-cooled bike, Byron on his air-cooled. It's slower on the straights, but it will be Finley Polehill. What a start for the young man. It's been a bit of a weird weekend for Finn. The first half of the weekend was just him kind of getting used to the bike, but suddenly midway through the second 50 something inside of him awoken, and now he's back to his brilliant best, and he's out there leading the race on lap 1. The Johnson brothers potentially having a bit of a tiff here, because look at that, Byron all over the back of Austin. Of course, Byron, remember, he's much younger, much smaller, much lighter, so in the corners he does have that advantage. It doesn't quite make up for the power loss that he has from being on an air-cooled bike, but nonetheless he's giving it a good go. There goes Austin Johnson to the inside of Finley Polehill on the run up to Christmas corner. Does he get through? We'll have to find out in a moment's notice. No, he doesn't. Finley Polehill maintains the lead, and that's allowed Byron Johnson now to close in as well. Further back, Sam Gardner holding on to P4. Harrison Day there in P5 as well, challenging. And then further back, a whole gaggle of bikes. I can see Matthew Thomas in there, Chloe Gleason as well. Back to the action at the front though, and it is Finley Polehill still in the lead, but this breakaway group of 3 doing a phenomenal job out here. And well, just look at the time Byron Johnson loses down the straights. He set the fastest lap of the opening lap, but just down the straights just has absolutely nothing. He's got to make it all up in the corners. But Finlay Polehill from the start, a great opening few laps for him. He leads, Austin Johnson second, Byron third.
Yeah, Finlay Polehill made an awesome start, and straight away as Austin Johnson is just trying to regain that position, try and get the lead of the race back off of the number 27. He's got two Johnsons behind him. Austin Johnson just set the fastest lap of the race, so with a 58.4, 4/10 of a second faster actually than the man in front of him, Finlay Polehill. And Finlay Polehill looks like he's having to push hard. Of course, Finlay Polehill was in that 50 race, but now he's ran wide, and it's going to be Austin Johnson tries to go around the outside but cannot make it work. And Austin Johnson having to back out that move. Byron though just behind. Byron Johnson waiting to pounce if anything goes wrong, if they trip each other up, which is so easy to do, and you don't even mean to slow each other down, but it just naturally happens as you have to go to get inside line, remove some of your drive onto the straight, and then you go slower naturally. But Finlay Polehill leads the way now. 7 laps to go. We cross the line now though. It's going to be 6 laps to go. Further back, Harrison Day is in this battle, trying to defend his 5th position with this Jensen Bishop, and now it looks like Finlay Polehill is really having to defend. Now he's got two Johnsons side by side through the right kink after heading towards turn 3, heading towards the hairpin, and now Byron Johnson is looking like he's wanting to overtake his brother. It looks like he thinks he's faster than his brother, thinks he has the pace, but Finlay Polehill is trying his best just to keep defending and keep that orange bike on first place, trying to get the gold this weekend. But now heading into double left-hander, so easy. You have to use all the track on the exit in between these two, head out right to the white line as they do there perfectly, these riders being so young. But this is the highest class of mini motor racing in the UK. These are the best riders on mini motors before they make the step up to the mini GP 50s. But now Finlay Polehill still leading the way as now Austin Johnson's under pressure for his brother.
Absolutely, Byron Johnson is absolutely turned it on and is all over his brother. Yeah, brotherly love realised. I think if you are lucky enough to have a sibling, you can understand the intense rivalry between the pair of them, and you can understand as Austin Johnson goes to the lead of the race. Unless Finlay Polehill, no, can't fight back on the inside of Christmas corner. Oh, and that's a problem. Austin Johnson pulled off to retire from the race. He's done. I don't believe it. So that means Byron Johnson now leads the race. Austin Johnson went to come off the corner. Finlay Polehill ducked to his inside. Austin didn't see him, went to pull off, nearly took Finlay with him. There was contact between the pair. Austin looks done as Scott Ogden, who's marshalling for us this weekend, runs over to make sure he's okay. But that looks pretty terminal for Austin Johnson, and I believe it's Byron Johnson who now leads this race. Unbelievable, and it is Byron Johnson that leads this race, and now Finlay Polehill is going to do it against the other Johnson brother. Unbelievable scenes here with 4 laps to go.
Yeah, Austin Johnson, although he's out the race, he's helped the other Johnson. Byron Johnson leads the way now. He had a little bit behind him, but this is where Finlay Polehill will catch up. This main straight, you can see the difference in straight lines. He try and get that bike started, but now he's a lap down, and now Finlay Polehill is trying to go for the lead, and they cannot make it work. They're side by side there, and Finlay Polehill almost on the curb, and now he's leaning down the inside, trying, and he makes the move. He's doing contact. They set up the bike slightly there, made Byron Johnson set up the bike, but Byron Johnson, he doesn't care, he's still going for it, he's still trying to lead the way, he's still trying to lead this race. As now Finlay Polehill, he's trying everything, he's trying to go this way, that way, but he cannot make it work, and the orange bike's trying just to dive around the outside now. You can just see the pace difference in a straight line. They're side by side for a change of direction, but he cannot make it work. It's such a tight track, such a bumpy track. As we head down the start finish straight now, Finlay Polehill will really open up the bike now, try and make up as much time as possible. You can see him trying to take a much wider line, just carry the momentum through to this next straight. You can just see a slight difference in line. He's on the throttle, you see a pace difference now. He's going to dive down the inside. This next corner, it looks like it's too far back, and Byron Johnson, he's looking like he's pretty comfortable in this race lead, although he's under immense pressure. 91 thousandths of a second of a gap between first and second last time round. You can just see how hard he's having to defend, actually. He's a slower bike and he's having to defend. And now, look at that, Finlay Polehill trying to go around the outside and cannot make it work. But he's going a bit too defensive, I would personally say, Byron Johnson. That when you're on a slower bike, you cannot afford to do that, and it just leaves the door open like this because you go so defensive, you have no drive. And no! Byron Johnson leans on Finlay Paulhill and almost takes both of them off the track. Finlay Paulhill's crashed. Byron Johnson, though, manages to stay on after making contact with the bike. As Finlay Paulhill tries to get a bike restart, he's on his feet. But Byron Johnson has lost the race lead from Sam Gardner. Sam Gardner is now leading the way, but Finlay Paulhill, his bike's damaged. He's trying to get handlebar bent into place. Josh Day pushes him back onto track. He now rejoins. What position is this going to put him in, though? How much points will he lose on the board? This is not what he would have been wanting. Finlay Paulhill, due to that incident, has dropped all the way down to 6th place now, but Sam Gardner leads the way. Sam Gardner's out front with Byron Johnson, so now Byron Johnson has a new sparring partner.
Unbelievable scenes here at FAB-Racing. I can't believe that. It was just contact between the two leaders, Byron Johnson and Finlay Paulhill, coming together, and it is as easy as that to have your race lead go up in smoke. Sam Gardner was running a lowly 4th, and as we go on to the final lap of the race, he is going to lead. He's going to lead. I simply am lost for words here. There has been late drama in the LC40 Elites, and it's not over yet, because Byron Johnson, despite that contact, is still fighting with Sam Gardner for the race lead. We've got 1 lap left to go, and it is a straight duel for the race 3 victory. Sam Gardner pushing the bike to its absolute limit, going all over the curbs and the bumps that are all over the place here at Whilton Mill. So aggressive are the curbs and the track surface. He's got a great drive out of Ashby, but he's got some traffic. He's going to have to negotiate. That shouldn't cost him too much time. It cost Byron Johnson even less time. They're neck and neck as they come onto the back stretch. Who's it going to be? Byron to the inside. Sam Gardner is going to have to sweep across. It's going to be so close. Byron Johnson can't make the gap appear through the boot. And as they come to the line, Sam Gardner is a lucky boy, because he will win race 3 here in the LC40 Elites. And with a nod of approval from the young man, he will take that happily. It doesn't matter how they come, it matters that they come. And that is a race victory here in the LC40 Elites for Sam Gardner. What late drama. We lost Austin Johnson. Finlay Paulhill down the order after contact with Byron Johnson, and Sam Gardner manages to hold on to take the victory. Byron Johnson will be there in 2nd for the time being, but I can assure you there will be some not too happy teams in the camp looking to have a word with race control. Harrison Day, for the time being, is 3rd on the road. Chloe Gleason, P4. That's a great result for her. I believe that's her best result so far this season. So awesome stuff, and indeed it is. Jensen Bishop managed to bring it home in P5 with Matthew Thomas in P6. Finlay Paulhill was able to recover in the end to P7. Liam Lindquist, his final race this season was P8, with Rex Austin and Dylan Torian rounding out the top 10. But that is your top 3. And Byron Johnson was lucky to stay on the podium there, wasn't he? What late drama here in the LC40 Elites. That is it for your junior mini moto action this weekend. But of course, a few weeks' time, we are heading to the south of Wales. We're heading to the South Wales Car Cup and the Clandau circuit, and they'll all be back. They'll all be making their return to the track that everybody here at FAB-Racing loves. But that was some brilliant action, and Sam Gardner, who has been looking quick all weekend, gets a victory which he may not have entirely deserved, but I'm sure he will take absolutely.
Next up on track, we will have the final mini F1 sidecar race of the weekend. Race 3. The drama is set to continue in the sidecar paddock. We've seen so much drama, not only this weekend, but last round as well. Mick Williams' win streak coming to an end, and this round, Mick Williams' pole position record was also coming to an end. It's been tricky conditions. It looked like last time round, Green Streets were on for a great result, but tragic struck. They spanned multiple times actually during the race and threw away and ended up at the bottom half of the field. Such a strange place to see the name Green Street on your results sheet. But Mick Williams, they've just been dominant in the dry once again. As soon as it's dry, the bull of Mick Williams is released on that Red Bull outfit. So it's been so impressive to see Mick Williams just doing what they do best, and doing it because they love it. Sidecars have never been healthier, really. The racing is as close as ever, and grid numbers each round is getting higher and higher, and we keep seeing the same riders returning, which is great because they have excellent outfits. But will there be any trouble for McWilliams? We've seen it yesterday in qualifying that they did break down, so they have been known to have some slight niggles with reliability this weekend, but anything can happen. It's racing. That's why we watch it. That's why we love it as they head around on their sighting lap now. Before we head out on the warm-up lap, actually, I don't know if we will a warm-up lap for the sidecars, but obviously it's going to be Green Streets who starts in pole position alongside Mick Williams, with Mick Lee starting in third with John Hosker alongside, who was just racing actually in the motor team class. Jacob Keats on the camouflage black and red bike will start in fifth. Mark Parker alongside Chris MP 7th. Iona Glover up and down weekend will be starting in 8th, with Vince Bailey rounding off our grid for the sidecars. So I believe we probably should just get underway here for the sidecars. There's not a lot of room for the fuel here. The fuel in these bikes is very, very limited. It's such a small space. Everything's built by hand, but now we wait and see. We wait and see a point to the lights, unless they decide we will get a warm lap for them, but I believe it should just be point to the lights. Point to the lights are done, and we wait for the lights to come on. The lights are on and the lights are off. It's a very, very quick start. It's like Green Streets get the lead of this race, but Mick Williams just behind. Mick Lee is in third place in that yellow outfit. They had an issue race 1 with their cooling going all over the track, but Mick Williams now in the dry conditions. What can they do? Is a battle, further battle. Vince Lee as Mick Williams already in the lead this race, but now we've seen how hard the Green Streets are willing to push. We've seen how hard they want to push. They spun it twice last race, but now we know they're out for vengeance. We know they're out for battle. And then further back, John Hosker having a battle. They've painted that fairing in yellow. They found out the bin last round. It looked awful, to be honest, but now they've painted it, made it look slightly better, and now we're battling for that 5th position with Vince Lee. So now the Green Streets in that 90 outfit once again are having to chase a familiar sight of Mick Williams in the lead.
But something I think that's not so familiar for everyone is that number 44 of Mick Lee. Once again getting a really, really strong start there, and they're just holding on to that P3 and actually challenging maybe later on into the race. They were obviously Mick Williams' biggest challenge during race 2, during the wet after the Green Streets, many spins. But the Green Streets, doing a great job out there with the sun bearing down here at Whilton Mill. It's getting very, very warm. We vipped out the ice lollies in the commentary box, and it must be a tough time because sidecar racing is some of the most physical racing that you can get in the whole world of motorsport, and mini sidecars is no exception. It is really, really tough, especially when you consider the typical age of your average mini F1 sidecar participant, typically a bit older than most of the FAB-Racing paddock. It can really be a tough time for some of them, especially in the heat. So kudos to everyone for even getting out there. Mick Williams, though, still holding on to that lead. The Green Streets and the 44 of Mick Lee, though, look like they're set to do battle over P2 if the Green Streets are willing to go on the defensive. But right now they seem to be doing what the Green Streets do best: just go on the attack, focus ahead, don't bother looking back because they're irrelevant. They want to get Mick Williams. Today might be the day. They've done it once before. Can they do it today? Because again, we've been seeing Mick Williams made a few mistakes in race 2 actually in the greasy conditions. Just coming into the boot, the bike not the best through there, and as well just maybe just a bit of pressure being put on by the 44 outfit. Again, you see a bit of a mistake there, just running a bit wide, getting a bit out of shape, just costing him a little bit of time. I'm not entirely sure Mick Williams, I don't think this is his favourite circuit, I think it's safe to say, and he really didn't look happy in that race 2, and of course in qualifying too as well. Reliability issues causing them problems, and they had to start from second on the grid. So anything can happen here in the mini F1 sidecars. We've had a brilliant weekend's racing so far, and anything has just happened to John Hosker there. That is going slowly, and that, I think it's safe to say, does not sound right.
No, it doesn't. And actually, I noticed that just 2 laps ago, coming past the commentary box with the door open, it sounded strange. It sounded so loud, and something wasn't right compared to all the other 2-stroke motors that we have here in the sidecar paddock, but 4 laps to go in this race. Hosker is out. Mick Williams leads 1.9 seconds, and there is the battle between Keats and Vince Bailey. Keats actually ramming into the back of them, heading into the last turn there. So Keats showing their aggression, showing their crazy ride style. It's not unusual to see the Keats on 2 out of 3 wheels. They're known for Impact to having a bit of a wacky riding style, a bit of extreme riding style with a sidecar. But there's the Green Streaks having to defend from Mick Lee. Will this be a usual sight in the paddock? Mick Lee returns. Well, the Green Streaks start to become under pressure and have to start thinking about defending a bit more than trying to bridge the gap to Mick Williams that they've been wanting to do for so long. We have a sidecar race in our hands between Green Streaks and Mick Lee. It's for second position right now. They are pushing so hard right now. They've got the outfits are absolutely making all shapes and sorts. Although it's 3 wheels, they still manage to make it unstable. All the weight transfer that gets put into it by the passenger, the full commitment, dragging their body on the ground. It's 2 minds in one to control one vehicle. It's so great to see. It's special stuff actually. With 3 laps to go in this race, Mick Lee lines up a move, and now they're down on the inside and make the move work. And now we're making contact all the way around the corner, and Green Streaks manages to stick it around the outside and keep the place and keep that second position. That was so brave. It would be so easy for Green Streak just to back out there slightly, but Mick Lee showing who they are, showing their face and showing their cards a bit early. But 3 laps to go, still plenty of action left between the 44 and the 90.
Oh, no holds barred racing. Brilliant stuff between the 2 mini F1 sidecar drivers. Oh, is that a problem maybe for the Green Streets? I think they've let them through. You know, I think the Green Streets, I'm not sure what's happened there, because I'm not sure what's happened, but they lost a lot of pace. And I do genuinely think the Green Streets have let them through there. That is, if they've let them through, that is amazing sportsmanship. Obviously, the 2 having contact about half a lap ago, and I think they have let them through, which is just great to see. And now they're going back on the attack again. The Green Streets, they've seceded that position. They registered that they were unfair in that battle. It was a bit unfair, so they've let them through, and now they can go on the attack. Or maybe they just wanted a bit of a different race. Maybe they wanted to attack the 44 machine. Who knows? As we head through to the middle sector following this battle, of course, the Green Streets, that bike, the most modern looking on the grid, looks like the most modern out of the sidecars, but of course, being a mini sidecar is so different. The rider, the passenger transfer matters so much more because the weight is so much lower, and of course, not quite as fast either. I wouldn't want to ride these things around the TT, to be brutal honest. I also wouldn't want to ride a proper sidecar around the TT. That thing is terrifying. But as we head on to the last lap in a short moment's time for Mick Williams, these 2 are going to give it large as we come into the final lap for the mini F1 sidecars here at Whilton Mill. 1 lap to go for the 26 outfit. They will take the victory, I presume, but it's the 44 against the 90 as well, further back in this battle for second place. It's been another brilliant performance for Mick Williams. Don't get me wrong, up the front, they have been absolutely superb, and despite the few mistakes, despite the fact that Whilton likely not their strongest circuit, likely not their favourites, they've held firm in the dry, once again dominant, and in the wet they've done a good job and avoided the major mistakes that cause real problems. And the Mick Williams machine has been absolutely fantastic to see. And as they come round now through the final few corners, it's not long left to go then for another race victory for the 26 on the back straight now. They've got not the biggest gap ahead that they had before, Mick Lee, only 5.5 seconds ahead of Mick Lee, but it doesn't really matter for Mick, does it? Because it's going to be another race victory. Make it 5 in a row this time for Mick Williams. He sweeps the weekend and normal order is resumed, but it will be Mick Lee who manages to cling on to second. The Green Streets almost got through them on that last lap. On that battle, they'll have to settle for third. The 44 holding on after it was let through by the 90 machine. But there you go, regular order presumed. We're back to normal. Mick Williams has swept the weekend.
Mick Williams swept the weekend. The Mick Lee, so it's a Mick 1-2 actually, which is pretty special stuff. But Mick Lee obviously coming in this class and a fierce battle of Green Street throughout the whole race there. They were completely side by side. Pretty fair racing, to be honest, all the way through, side by side, and none of them backed out, which we love to see. But for whatever reason, it looked like Green Street just lost a lot of pace and Mick Lee managed to find a way through. But great race, and that is the final couple of bikes coming across the line. Chris Impey just across the line now. The 457 outfit as Mick Williams returns to the paddock after what is the final race of the weekend for the sidecars. But of course, if you're a sidecar fan, mini F1 sidecar fan, they will be back at Clandau for the second time out at Clandau this year. It should be great stuff, and we'll have free races there as well. But stay with us, we still have a couple more races coming up.
For the final time, the senior mini motos get ready to go racing here at Whilton Mill. It's been a couple of great races so far, and now the sun is shining. The track is bone dry, not a drop of water to be seen, well, for a few miles at least, here in the Midlands at round 5 of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championship. And boy, oh boy, we've been served up a couple of treats already from the senior mini motos, boys and girls. They always provide some of the greatest racing that you will get to see here at FAB-Racing. And as they head out on their sighting lap, I'm sure we're looking forward to yet another brilliant race.
Yeah, we certainly are. And they head out on the second lap now. It's going to be a great race. We've seen 2 great races, and heading in this weekend, it was Will Howarth, who's actually not been off the podium so far this season, he's not been off the podium so far this season, and leads the way heading into this round by 72 points over both the Burkin brothers. But of course, Josh Burkin is not here this round. It's a big blow to the championship for him, and he's still here supporting Matt. And Matt, of course, had an amazing battle this morning and had an amazing race in race 2, because race 2, wow, what a race. It was a 3 or 4 bike battle all the way down the field, so it was just small groups of riders duking at it. But here we are, they're heading up, line up the grid before we head out the warm-up lap. Will Howarth lines up with Craig Ashall.
Indeed they do, just lying there waiting for everyone else. Of course, it's not paramount that you're fast on your sighting lap. It just matters you get to the grid at a certain point. There is a regulation surrounding how fast you're allowed to take it, but it's not like you have to be there immediately, which is why you see this gaggle of riders all kind of trying to find their grid slot and not knowing where they are. It can be a bit confusing sometimes. These are little bikes with big people on them, on little grid slots here at the Whilton Mill Kart Club. And we just get ready to go on our formation lap. We've had a brilliant couple of races so far, with Matt Burkin going from the pole position. Championship leader Will Howarth, he goes off alongside him. Richard Holmes-Williams starts in P3 with Craig Ashall in P4. British Talent Cup rider Holly Harris, she starts P5 with Nick Bennett in P6. And it's Rhys Gentry, Chris Yeomans, Mark Payne and David Marriott rounding out the top 10. Row 6 is Gary Eldridge with Callum White alongside, with Laurent Morgan in 13th and Keaton Payne P14. They're followed by Shannon King and Robert Kitley, with Duncan Dypett in 17th and Jerome Richard in 18th. And rounding out the field, it's Rob Gentry, Alberto Venteo, who retired very quickly into race 2, and then Steve Johns is in the 21st slot. That will be your grid for the final senior mini moto race here at Whilton Mill. And boy oh boy, these guys always like to race hard, even without one of the most interesting characters on the grid, I think to say. Josh Burkin out due to his injury sustained at Clay Pigeon. I'm sure he'll be back for Clandau. It is just it's a grid full of characters, and it's a race that never fails to deliver. There is always action, there's always drama, and there's always something going on that you can have a little laugh to yourself too about.
There certainly is, and Will Howarth right now, he'll not be laughing, he'll be completely focused underneath his visor, and will be wanting to look up to the lights, see them go out and get the best reaction time possible, because alongside him is Richard Holmes-Williams, and then just behind Craig Ashall and Matt Burkin. There's so much talent in this field that they cannot let off one little bit from the second go. They need to go for it, they need to try and win the last race of the weekend. They all look up to the lights go on and the lights go out. It's a very, very fast turn off as now Will Howarth leads the way from Richard Holmes-Williams. Nick Bennett has made it up into 3rd place, with Matt Burkin just behind. Holly Harris is currently in 5th place. FHO female rider and Rhys Gentry is currently battling for 6th position, trying to find any way past that he can in number 100. But Will Howarth leads the way, but straight away it's Richard Holmes-Williams. It's on his tail and trying to make a move down, and he's made it stick straight away. He's made it stick straight away. Richard Holmes-Williams leads the way, but straight away it's Will Howarth who fights back, and now he tries to get the undercut. Richard Holmes-Williams tries to get the undercut, but will it be able to stick? We wait and find out. Yes, it will. The undercut, and then Will Howarth straight away coming back out. They're not letting each other get into a rhythm at all. They are trying everything. it's wheel-to-wheel stuff, it's elbow-to-elbow stuff, it's elbows out all way, which is what we see so many times in the senior mini moto class, is that straight away, elbows out, off track, have a laugh, have a pint. But now we come round the first lap. Richard Holmes-Williams leads the way from Will Howarth. Now Will Howarth will not want this to stick, and it looks like he's trying to make a move as Holly Harris manages to get past Matt Burkin after running wide, and now Will Howarth leads the way, and now it's Richard Holmes-Williams who's trying to find a way past straight away, and he has on the 126 machine. He's known as a tractor, but right now they almost made contact. They did make contact. Will Howarth got sent wide. Both are somehow still on. Yeah, they're both still on, but Richard Holmes-Williams leads the way now. We're on lap 2 of this race, and Will Howarth is trying to catch up, trying to get past Richard Holmes-Williams, as Richard Holmes-Williams on the 126 machine is in these sunny conditions, leading the way, trying to get some happy hopes of a victory in the final race of the day.
Of course, Richard Holmes-Williams, not a regular in the Mini Moto Seniors, turns up occasionally. He did take a second at the third round at Ella Park, but he's yet to stand on the top step of the podium in the few occasions he does arrive with his Mini Moto machine. Right now, though, he seems poised to take his first win of the season, with battles all throughout the pattern. Matt Burkin falling even further back as Craig Ashall gets through. That's Holly Harris up to P4 now. She's yet to finish on the podium this season. No, apologies, mistake. She's finished third a few times, but I'm sure she'd love to add another third place to her list. But it is Holmes-Williams leading the way from Will Howarth, who's had such a fun weekend here at Whilton Mill. Wouldn't he love to add a senior mini moto victory to his moto team successes? But Richard Holmes-Williams, I'm sure he's determined. And there goes Will Howarth, though, up the inside. Holmes-Williams swept around the outside last lap. This time he can do no more, but he's going to try and dive down the inside. Oh, what a brilliant comeback through the loop. And Howarth having a look to the inside, but was unable to make the gap a bit. But Holmes-Williams, he's still under attack from Will Howarth, still pushing hard. And Holmes-Williams on that 126, the fastest lap last time out. These two, nothing to separate them. Couldn't even fit a sheet of paper between them as Craig Ashall climbs up to P3 now. Makes the move. Nick Bennett losing 2 places that lap, so Holly Harris remains in P4. Holmes-Williams, though, still in the lead at the moment, but look how close they are. I mean, we've seen before in mini motos, sometimes they actually grab the back of the other bikes to push themselves in front, as that's Will Howarth now to the lead. Can Holmes-Williams fight up the inside through the left-hander? No. He's going to have to settle in behind as they come through Zulu and now onto the back stretch. Will Howarth seems to be a little bit faster down the straights, possibly either just a bit of a lighter rider, may also be running a longer gear set. So Holmes-Williams is now going to have to be smart in his fight back. Will Howarth, now he's in the lead, he can control this race, and when he gets into the lead of the race, we know it's difficult to get back through him.
Certainly is, and Will Howarth sets the fastest lap of the race. Holmes-Williams, though, just behind us. Holly Harris is trying to find a way past what is Craig Ashall now for that third position, for that all-important podium positions. Nick Bennett is just behind. Nick Bennett on that 711 is just trying to get as far, is just trying to get past, and just trying to get past that female FHO rider. Of course, FHO putting a lot of money in to try and get these female riders through the system, get them more support and more backing to get more equipment, and hopefully make it to the world stage. So Holly Harris right now trying to defend from Nick Bennett, as now it's a proper gaggle of riders. It's 4 riders in this group right now, all battling as a backmarker gets out of the way. And there's your race leaders. Will Howarth still leads the way. Holmes-Williams couldn't find a way past last time round, but now it's all about the drive in the straight. These riders are so big and so tall, as there's another backmarker getting out of the way as Nick Bennett tries to find a way past as we head down the main straight. These riders, though, they're just trying to get as touched as possible. They're so tall compared to what these bikes are designed for. That, for example, Holly Harris, who's made it into third position now, made it past Craig Ashall. She's a slight advantage because she's slightly smaller compared to the likes of Nick Bennett and Craig Ashall. So now it's Holmes-Williams who leads the way from Will Howarth and has the fastest lap of the race with 56.4, as Will Howarth is looking to come back straight away.
You may be wondering where race 2 winner Matt Burkin is. I think he's crashed and out because he's dropping down the order rapidly. I think Matt Burkin's day is done, so a shame for any Burkin fans. But up the front, it's still Howarth against Holmes-Williams. Holmes-Williams holding firm into the boot, a very tricky section. Lots of bumps. Howarth up the inside. Holmes-Williams pulled this off a few laps ago, but Holmes-Williams Williams pulls off the incredible again up the inside. Oh, that is just spectacular racing, isn't it? You cannot find any finer mini-moto action other than here at Whilton Mill this weekend. Brilliant, brilliant. Oh, Holly Harris off the bike. Holly Harris has gone down, and she seems to be walking a little bit wounded there. Hopefully she is okay, but Holly Harris having an incident up the front though. It is still Holmes Williams leading. That promotes Craig Ashall though up onto the podium. Nick Bennett will hold on to P4. As a result, Craig Ashall in a bit of a no man's land right now. And it's Howarth. Oh, that's not a place you're supposed to have a look to the inside into that left-hander at Chapman, but he had a look anyway, and now he's having a look at the left-hander again into the loop, into the boot, but no, decides against it once again. So Holmes Williams, bit of a shake of the head, just needs to get his focus together, and as he does that, he loses his concentration. Howarth back to the lead. Holmes Williams can't fight back around the outside, and with 2 to go, Lewis, it's Howarth back in control.
Yeah, as in Will Howarth leads the way as Holt Harris remounts on the bike and tries just to get some points at the board and finish this race, as Holmes Williams is now diving down the inside. 2 laps to go in this race. It's still completely undecided from lap 1. From the get-go, it's been a battle for the race lead between Will Howarth and Holmes Williams. It's still going on as Holmes Williams then gets the undercut over Howarth. Will Howarth fight back straight away? No, he will not. He will wait at least one corner until he tries again, and he's trying now. The 96 of Will Howarth, and he tucks the front, and he saves it. He's out of the grass, and somehow is still on the bike with just 2 laps to go. It looks like Holmes Williams has this right now. If he could just stay on, just get the lap times. But this is senior mini motor racing. Anything can happen right now. Will Howarth is so lucky to still be on the bike right now as we come round the final corner. Now we wait for the last lap flag to be shown. The yellow flag, black cross, last lap time. It's gonna have to be a miracle from Will Howarth. It's gonna have to be an incredible lap time for him to be able to catch up. But actually, it looks like he's already caught up to him. Will Howarth is on pace right now. He's on target to go back for Holmes Williams and go back for this race win and this race lead over the 126 motorcycle. Half a lap left in this race. What's going to happen? Will Howarth dives down the inside. He's managed to regain it the same place as last lap, the same place as they lost the front. He makes the move and he makes it stick. But what will Holmes Williams have left in his back pocket? Will he have anything? Can he make a move? Will Howarth looks like he's somewhat celebrating over making that move, stick inside his helmet. We come to back markers now. Will Howarth manages to get past, but so is Holmes Williams. There's Shannon Kimball, but Holmes Williams makes it. Final corner time. It's been a drag to the line. Who is going to get it? It looks like it's going to be Will Howarth as we cross the line, and it's 77 thousandths of a second. Will Howarth takes the race win from Holmes Williams as they wait for Craig Ashall to cross the line to get the final podium position. But once again, back markers getting into play there and really causing a dramatic finish to the race. Will Howarth doing an amazing job, not only to stay on the motorcycle after that saving second final lap, but being able to make up all that time that he lost in just 1 lap and still being able to win the race.
How close do you want your finish? Unbelievable action here in race 3 of the senior mini motos. Richard Holmes Williams and Will Howarth, both of you take a bow. Some phenomenal racing on display as Callum White brings it home to finish in P8 there. But my oh my, just unbelievable, both having to go different way. There's Matt Burkin and the remains of his motorcycle. So clearly some problems for him here in race 3. But oh my goodness me, Will Howarth and Richard Holmes Williams, it was basically take your pick, take your luck, which side do you want to go? Brilliant stuff as Will Howarth takes victory. Four's a crowd for him, 4 wins overall this weekend in multiple classes. Richard Holmes Williams can only manage second at the line, unfortunately for him, with Craig Ashall rounding out the podium. Mark Payne brings it home in P4 with Nick Bennett in P5, with Chris Yeomans in P6, Reece Gentry P7, Callum White P8, David Meyer P9, Lamar Morgan P10.
Yeah, great race once again from the senior mini moto class. Of course, we'll be back next round at Clandale, but that is the end for this weekend, and that is it for race 3. But luckily, we still have just another race to go today. So next up, we are going to have one final race that is left today, and we're going to have the Premier Class, and it is the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship. It is the last race of the weekend. It is It is a nice sunny conditions this time round. It's not like it was this morning. But once again, just like yesterday, joining me in the commentary box is a special guest, Scott Ogden. Scott, how are you today?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been quite a good day's racing. A bit iffy conditions for these in the morning, but yeah, I was speaking to the Vision Track guys earlier and they said they went with the wets, which it seemed to be a mistake with the two front guys going with slicks, but yeah, it should be a good race. It's full dry now. The track seems pretty perfect, so yeah, I think we'll see a fast, close race.
Yeah, race 2, it was mixed conditions, it was mixed tyre choices. Marco Holt and Blake Wilson picking the right choice in the end. Obviously there was that confusion with the red flag that probably did help to slick runners' advantages, obviously with the track given a little bit more time to dry. That just when we got to the end of the race, you could just see the guys using the wets, the tyres were starting to go a bit off and they were starting to struggle. Yeah,
100%. Normally when on a full track it's about 5 seconds, so yeah, it's about 2-3 seconds on these small bikes. And at the end of the day, I think for Ethan, because he's got such a big lead in the championship, it wasn't the end of the world. And yeah, he didn't crash, he's back safe, and yeah, he's ready for this race now.
Yeah, he is, and all riders now are just getting ready for this race, lining up on the grid. But obviously, Scott, you've raced GP70s, you've won the championship in the GP70s. What's your memories from this championship and racing on these Metric bikes?
Yeah, I think back in 2016 it was really good close racing with all of them like it is now, and yeah, I enjoyed the battles. I was racing against my teammate Josh and also Blake Ansell, so yeah, it was really good racing, and it's just that close racing and on little tracks, and yeah, it's good battling and it's good to learn on these sorts of things.
Yeah, and obviously it'll be Ethan Sparks, Vision Track rider, that will be starting in pole position with Marco Holt alongside him. Blake Wilson had a great race this morning, choosing the slick tyres, starting in 3rd place with Ronnie Harris alongside him. Henry McCartney in 5th with Luke Fitchett in 6th. And it'll be Ruben Bray who'll be starting this race from 7th place with Samuel Munson alongside him. Ollie Sims will be starting 9th with Noah Gilray, rounding out our grid of 10 riders that we have here in the Mini GP70 race. And last race of the weekend, Scott, everyone's going to go out for it and it's going to be a cracker.
Yeah, 100%. The overall's on the line here, so I think all of them want to win, but yeah, it should be good. I think Ethan's got the little edge over them in the dry, but I think Marco and Blake will give him a run for his money.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. You can't really call it though in the 70s. It's such close racing, as you mentioned earlier. It's been like this for such a long time. You sometimes get motor-free like races, but we wait for the final checks to be done on the grid before we can get underway. The point to the lights is done. Everyone looks up to the lights. The lights are about to go on, and the red lights are on, the red lights are off, and we are racing for the final race of the weekend. It's Marco Holt who leads the way with Ethan Sparks, managing just to get into 2nd place, getting into that position, just be able to attack from the get-go. Blake Wilson managing to stay into 3rd as it looks like at the back. Ruben Bray is battling with Noah Gilray as Ronnie Harris and Luke Fitchett are having a right old tussle, but it's Marco Holt who leads the way, and it's going to be a dream weekend for him if he can win this 70 race. It's such great conditions. He's been through every type of conditions. As now Ethan Sparks, he's trying to find any way past on the Vision Track bike. Such a quality team, such a quality bike that he's on right now. All these riders, they're immaculate. Every single part of their racing, they put 100% effort in, and it's so great to see at such a young age.
Yeah, it's really good to see that they're all on slicks as well, because in the second race it's sort of a bit of a disadvantage, but when they're all on the same bike, same tyres, yeah, it creates really good racing. And for all of them, they don't want to win because the other one's made a mistake on tyre choice or whatever. So yeah, I think all 3 of them are up for it. It'll be interesting to see if Ronnie can get in the mix, because he's been a little bit behind them throughout the weekend, but he's got pace. So yeah, hopefully it's a 4-5-way battle, because Luke's had a good weekend in the 50s. He won all 3 races, and yeah, a bit extra track time, so hopefully he can get up there in this one.
Yeah, it's been great to have so many riders in the 70s. A 10 bike field, it's a pretty healthy field. We've seen some rounds where it's been slightly less, but it's great to see all these riders as well being so competitive on the motorcycles. And it's a class which, no matter where you're at in your racing career, people are able to find a race and able just to progress with the racing career and with the racecraft, because these bikes, they help riders so much, they give them so much feedback and really teach them the fundamental parts of racing a Grand Prix motorcycle.
Yeah, 100%. It's that racing style. It's a 2-stroke, which is different to what most people ride now, but yeah, I think you learn more on them than you do on the 4-stroke. So yeah, it's really good to see them all up there. It's getting to a class where all the times are so close now, whereas before in the past there's been big gaps between first and last place, but yeah, now it's really close, and even the guys at the back are doing 51s, 52s, which is really respectable times.
Yeah, it certainly is, and right now it's Ronnie Harris who is trying to get up to Luke Fitchett. Luke Fitchett, of course, has had a dream weekend in the GP50s, slightly slower machines than these, but Blake Wilson, your rider of the race yesterday, is in that third position once again, and at race 2 he took the slick tyres and it paid off, and now you can just see him once again. He's sticking with the front boys. He's not able to necessarily be there and be able to fight with them, but he's there to pick up the pieces if anything goes wrong, as Ethan Sparks looks down the inside, but will he make it work? Yes, no he won't, as Mark Holt closes the door on him. You can just see it so close. They're on the knife edge, these guys. They're pushing every single ounce out of this motorcycle. It looks like Mark Holt is taking a slightly more defensive line right now at this stage of the race. 9 laps to go, so he's already thinking and understanding that he has Ethan Sparks, last year's champion, right behind.
Yeah, I think he's at that point where he realises he won't be able to break away from Ethan, so it's better to keep the lead and keep the track position than try go as fast as he can and open the door. So yeah, it's good to see, and Luke's got the fastest lap, which is really good, because normally for Luke he's a little bit faster on the 50 because he hasn't ridden the 70 so much, but he looks like he's adapting well, because we know he's fast. He's won all 3 races, and there's people like Archie and Marco in that class, so yeah, he's shown what he can do in this race.
Yeah, he certainly is, and Sparks is showing what he has to offer right now for Marco Holt, and that is a charge for the race win. And talking about Luke Fitchett has set the fastest lap of the race with 50.4 this time around. So Luke Fitchett is on the times straight away, and it's so impressive to see such quick lap times straight away from them. But Marco Holt leads the way still with the minion helmet. It's so good to see these riders already getting something to, well, stand them out from the crowd, I guess you could say.
Yeah, 100%. It's a trademark of his, and sure it'll be with him for the whole career. I know there's a few controversial things. People don't really like the minion helmet, but yeah, it looks good, and you can always tell which one is Marco.
Yeah, he certainly can. 7 laps to go, and you can tell which one's Marco because he's in the lead of the race right now. But Ethan Sparks once again is trying to find a way past, but at this circuit we've seen all weekend, it is so tricky to find any way past, especially on these bigger motorcycles. Yeah,
100%. It's quite a thin track, so it's really hard, and when you're offline you can't really make the corner unless you make a block pass, and on these bikes it's really hard to make a block pass without being a little bit dirty, which none of these riders want to do. They're all friends off track, so yeah, it's hard to pass, but I'm sure on the last lap if Ethan has to make a dive bomb, he will.
Yeah, certainly, and obviously the Vision Track Academy is a part of the Mini GP 78 and the Mini GP 50 championships that we have here at FAB, and it's so great to see them bringing on these very talented riders. And well, what's been your experience spending the weekend at FAB? How are these riders getting help and support from the team?
Yeah, well, there's Chaz Mortimer here with the Vision Track, also helping a couple other riders, and he's on the track just looking at what they're doing and giving them some advice, and yeah, it's good to have such a big figure there for them. Also, I think Danny Webb was here the last couple of days. I think he was helping a couple of the Vision Track riders, but also the other guys in the paddock, and it's good to see someone that's done so much in his career and done so well. For the little kids, they respect that, and yeah, they listen to them, so everyone's coming up and getting faster and faster, which is really good to see, because it makes the championship so much more competitive, and it brings these on. The Spanish guys, there's 10, 15 of them that are really fast, and that's been lacking in the UK, but now watching the 70s here this weekend, you can see that there's a big group of them coming through, and sure they'll be in the British Talent Cup in a few years.
Yeah, so it's like an Ethan Sparks right now. Looks like he's going to be trying to make a move for this race, trying to make a move for first place. But once again, he just cannot make it work into that corner. It's far too tight, as Luke Fitchett makes it up into that podium position, into that third place on that black number 7 bike. The number obviously inspired by Barry Sheen, but Mark Holt now is going round, still having to defend the conditions though. They're the best that are going to get all weekend, and it's the last race of the weekend, so what a better way to finish it, really. I mean, when you've had a weekend where it's been mixed conditions all weekend, and now it's dry, do you just kind of just go for it, or do you have to maybe spend a couple of laps to feel out the conditions and feel where you can push far harder than you have all weekend?
I think 100% they just go for it. They've done enough time here in the dry over the years with the mini motos and the 50s and things like that. So yeah, they're all pushing. I think the overall's still up on the line here, so they all want to win it. And yeah, it's good to see. I think for me now is the best time of the day. I think maybe they'll get a 49, but it'll be difficult, but it'll be great to see if they can do that, because that's what they're doing in the Extreme 200. So yeah, they're pushing hard. Luke's being able to stay with them, which is surprising, but well, not surprising if you look at his 50, but surprising if you look at his 70 results from this weekend. So yeah, it's good to see someone else getting in the mix and showing him what he can do.
Yes, certainly. Ethan Sparks is still waiting and still lurking behind Marco Holt, and it's at the point in the race, 3 laps to go, where he's going to have to show some cards pretty soon. Do you think that Ethan Sparks just... Actually, there's been a 49 set. Scott, you called it perfectly. A 49.980 set by Marco Holt as Ethan Sparks dives down the inside and takes the race lead. How will Marco Holt respond? Will Marco Holt sit behind and just take a lap or two to think about where he can make this pass, because it's so tricky to make a pass at Whilton Mill, or will he just try and dive back and just go back straight away and not let Ethan Sparks get into a rhythm? Because once Sparks get into a rhythm, it's so difficult to make it past.
Yeah, 100%. For Ethan now, he's just got to put in 2 qualifying laps and hope he's going fast enough where Marco can't overtake him. But for Marco, he's just got to disturb the rhythm. Straight away into the one at Christmas corner, he's got to try overtake and try not let him get away, because if he's got 1-2 bike lengths here, it'd be impossible to overtake.
Yeah, and obviously these Metrikit bikes are world-renowned for being so good for giving on talent and bringing up talent into the future, and we've seen that with the British Talent Cup numbers and with the amount of riders that have came from it, such as yourself. And how much feedback does these bikes give you whenever you're going around on track?
Yeah, it is basically a mini Moto 3. It's good for them to ride these bikes. It's the same. Yeah, they're not going as fast and they're on small tracks, but it's definitely a stepping stone on the route to Moto 3.
Certainly, and these bikes are so technical to ride. I mean, it's 2-stroke more, as you mentioned. They teach riders so much more than the 4-strokes. They really have to keep the revs up and really just have to ride it so hard. But of course, Josh Watley, you were battling against in the 70s for the championship, and well, now he's your teammate in Moto3. So do you ever talk about that time, discuss that time back in the day whenever you're here at FAB?
No, not really. I think the present's the important one at the moment, and yeah, he's doing all right, but yeah, we both want to beat each other now, and at the moment I've got the upper hand, which is nice, and yeah, I'm sure he'll be working hard to try beat me in the second half.
Yeah, so well, now we're on the final lap of this race. Ethan Sparks still leads the way, half a lap left. Now Marco Holt is wanted to try and find any way past. Marco Holt taking a far wider line there, trying to carry a bit more momentum, a bit more corner speed. But right now, Ethan Sparks, 1 more corner to go. Can he keep it? Yes, he will. He will take the race win and take a final race win of the weekend. Ethan Sparks wins the race from Marco Holt, and Luke Fitchett getting another podium. He took 3 race wins in the 50s and now has got another podium to his name in the 70s. So an excellent result from Fitchett. As Ruben Bray now coming across the line, following Samuel Munson right to the line. That battle goes. Ollie Sims closely behind them, but now you can just see them celebrating, messing about on the track. Racing's done for the weekend now. It's celebrating time.
Yeah, it's really good to see Ethan win that, especially with the other 2 doing the 50s. He's had half the track time they've had, so yeah, it's good to see that he's on the pace. And on the second to last lap, Marco did a 49.8, which yeah, he'd much rather be Ethan right now, but it's a bit of a consolation for him. But yeah, it's good to see this. I don't know who's actually won the overall. I think it'll be close, because Ethan had a bad second race, but maybe he's just pipped it, but I don't think he'll mind with the big championship lead he has.
Yeah, it was a tricky race there for Marco Holt, and Marco Holt, he kept the race lead for so long, but just couldn't make it work in the end. And obviously, Scott, you used to race in FAB yourself, and what can you remember yourself from what the FAB atmosphere was like and what the FAB paddock was like?
Yeah, it's like a big family. Everyone gets along. Of course, everyone wants to beat each other in the races, and it's on track, no one's mates. But yeah, it's sort of what I miss about racing now. Off track, we don't really speak to the other riders. It's my job now. But yeah, these kids are all having fun, and that's what they've got to do. They've got to enjoy it while they can and just keep pushing hard on track.
Yes, certainly. And obviously next weekend you are at Silverstone racing in the Motor 3 Championship. We talked about it yesterday, but to all the viewers who sadly weren't tuned in yesterday, you missed a lot of great racing, so go back on Watch Back and watch Saturday's action. But obviously you're racing at Silverstone next weekend, home round. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous, but it's just another race. At the end of the day, there's a lot of people there supporting me and the Vision Track team, and yeah, of course I want to do something special. I dream about getting on the podium, but we'll just see what happens. I know I've got the speed to do it. It's just whether I can stay on the bike and be a bit more sensible this weekend, because the last 2 races I've ended on the 5th lap in the gravel track, which yeah, it's not good. I'm not getting any experience from that, so yeah, just got to keep pushing and just try stay on the bike and be a bit smart and get a good result.
Yeah, and obviously this season it has been up and down, as you mentioned, in Moto 3, but last season in the Junior World Championship you had a pretty good year and you had a couple of podiums to your name. And what's been the biggest step up from that championship to the actual Moto 3 Championship of the MotoGP?
It's 100% the race speed. Normally in the Junior World Championship you can do the qualifying laps, and yeah, they're similar to the World Championship, but now this year Guevara at the front, he's doing the qualifying laps every lap, which for me is quite difficult because you've got to concentrate every lap and there's no time to take a breath. So yeah, it's just trying to get in that rhythm and making the qualifying laps comfortable.
Yeah, and so would you say qualifying is your biggest weak point at the moment in Moto 3, or what would you say is your biggest improvement point? Because obviously you're always looking to improve.
Yeah, I think, well, from last year, qualifying was my weak point. I've got it a little bit better this year. I'm more or less around 10th, which at the moment is not a bad thing to do. But I think for me, the weak point is the first 2 laps. It's sort of like, even if I start 10th by at the end of lap 1, I'm normally 15th, so I've wasted that opportunity. So yeah, Silverstone's a bit of a wider track. It's not quite tight. So yeah, I'll just try to get a good first lap. And I've always said to myself, just get past everyone in every corner. If you're not passing someone's going to pass you. So yeah, I've just got to keep that in mind. It's much harder than it seems, but yeah, if I can do that in Silverstone, it'll be a good race. Yeah,
and it's your first season in Moto 3, and it's your first season properly working with the newly formed Michael Laverty Vision Track team in Moto 3. So how have you found that experience working with Michael Laverty? Because obviously they're here in the paddock with the Vision Track squad. So how have you found that experience being able to work with such a talented rider and such a smart rider as Michael Laverty?
No, it is really good. He's a really nice guy, as well as all of the knowledge he has. So yeah, I'm learning a lot from him, and he's busy on the race weekends with his BT commentary, but out of the race weekends and on the evening, he's always trying to give us advice and trying to help us move forward. And yeah, not even that, just the opportunity he's given us is incredible, and all the kids coming through, they now see a route, and yeah, it's good for everyone.
Well, thanks Scott for joining me yesterday and today for the Mini GP70 races, and thank you all for joining us here at FAB-Racing for this weekend's coverage at Whilton Mill. It's been a great weekend. We've had all seasons this weekend, but thanks again to all the marshals, all the medics, and every single person who's came and supported us here at FAB, and we hope to see you again on the 19th, 20th and 21st of August for Clandauer's second visit in Wales, and we'll see you then. Goodbye.